Alrighty, and we are live. I think I look moderately okay. I didn't get a chance to check a mirror lately. Let me make sure y'all can't hear anything. I don't think you can. I think everything is good. So we'll go ahead and close this out and close this out. Make sure there's no audio in the background. Nope, that looks good. Okay, everything's looking okay. Let's go ahead and open it up and let's get to work. I'm literally looking at it, but it's in the wrong screen. Okay, there we go. There we go, and there we go. Hi, how you doing? How you be? Talk to the AB. And not you. Oh my God, I haven't heard from you in forever. How's it going, bro? Have you seen any political PC setups, mods? LOL, surprised I haven't seen any yet. Political PC setups? No, I haven't seen any elephants or donkeys or anything. I haven't been looking though either. Maybe like a bunch of stars on their PC. Now, we did see the Sonic PC, which is blue, so but at the same time, I mean, I would rather have a Sonic PC than like a political PC. But yeah, that's kind of how it's been going these days. But hi, how you doing? How you be? Talk to the AB. And on this show here, we talk about tech support and we essentially help anybody that we can with technical issues. If you have a technical issue, you can always put it in the chat, and we can help you as soon as possible. I also go back over some of these. So if you do have one and I don't see it, I can get back to you. So there is that. So don't worry too much if I miss them. I kind of tend to go back over them and then I'll ping you on your YouTube channel and then we can work it that way. So there's a couple different ways we can go about it. So don't never fret. I got your back, yo. Alrighty, and we have an interesting show. We have a lot going on today. There's a lot of new stuff launching and a lot of things that I saw that I was like, okay, we should probably talk about this. So let's get this started here. Let me get something to drink and we can get going. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's some good. Oh God, that's horrible. It's too sweet. Okay. All right, let's do this stuff here. All right, so first topic here I want to talk about is the Razer Blade 18. All right, so here's the situation, right? So the Blade 18 4090 just came out, and what was killing me is I was looking at a lot of these reviews and a lot of people talking about these the new laptops that just came out, the 4080s and the 4090s, and they kept skipping over the actual heat dissipation or how hot it was, how hot the chassis got, in which game, the actual temperatures that the GPU got at. And it was kind of annoying me. So I was like, okay, well, let's try this review here because nobody was actually talking about a full review and actually talking about temperatures. And on this one here, it says the Razer Blade 18, which is an 18-inch Razer Blade, just recently came out. And they said gaming laptop, the first of 2023, blah, blah, blah. This was, okay, so this is the actual review here. I'm actually curious here.
The first laptop we're testing with the mobile versions of NVIDIA's 4000 series GPUs. You can get the 4080 or the 4090 in here. I've actually got the 4080 in this version. And you can get a Core i9 CPU, new 13th generation. This is actually the least expensive of the two configurations.
See, this is the stuff that annoys me, okay? Here's the situation with this guy. So let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can get an idea of why it annoys me. So with this guy here, okay, one, you can't actually game on an actual table with the Razer Blade. It has to be lifted up. A lot of these laptops don't like being on actual flat surface tables. So it's kind of interesting that he's playing that way.
Razer's offering right now,
and not actually showing the temperature.
4080, the Core i9, you got 1 terabyte of storage, 32 gigs of RAM.
Oh God. Oh my God. What do you mean starting? Oh my God. It's like you aren't expecting it and somebody like pulls up their shirt or something. It's like, oh my God, I'm blinded by the price of that laptop. Oh my dear Lord, what is going on with laptops today? How does it start at $4,000? Bro, that's a starting price. Like, oh my Lord, dear God. I was wondering what price it was going to be, but $4,000, man. Oh my God, the fat rubber feet and raise it up a bit. Yeah, you like with these laptops, man, a lot of these guys require you to actually, like when they're showing it here, it can't even be like this. Like at no point in time do you want to have this guy on a lap, on a bed, on a couch, on an airplane table, none of that. You got to have something like, so like there's certain mods. So for example, I absolutely hate the Mac Magic Keyboard, this guy here. However, there is a modification to it that gives it feet and props it up. See how it has it on the back there? Where you can actually prop it up, and it basically puts it at an angle. And with this, it actually immediately becomes one of the best keyboards I've ever had in my life. So I feel that there just needs to be some type of a modification with it. Maybe something along this line where it actually has something that lifts it off the ground so that it actually is at an angle without you having to carry a literal case or a literal something like a laptop stand or a case fan or something like that to lift it off the ground. It could just be something that's literally on the bottom of the laptop. That will probably be the best thing that you can actually buy for these kind of laptops, like this one, the Titan, the Scar, any of those, Legion, all of those guys that have those fans at the bottom. That's probably one of the best things that you can probably find for that guy. Not worth it if I win the lotto. Yeah, I get that. It's a bit much. To hardcore gamers who use laptops to leave a laptop on the side, have the longest life. Yep.
Laptop, no matter how you slice it.
Yep.
That said, I was perfectly happy with this lower end version.
I like how he was actually able to say that without laughing. I wonder how many takes it took for him to say that. Be like 30 I'm sorry. I don't think this is going to work for me. I can't actually say that with a straight face.
Performance was great. Gaming on a bigger screen was great. Large touchpad.
See, I don't believe anybody who says performance was great, but you don't see any type of temperature notifications here. You don't see nothing. There's literally nothing indicating what the temperature is actually at. You may say it's great, but your laptop may be screaming right now and you have no idea.
It was like those on a gaming laptop. Even if you don't use a touchpad for gaming that much, it makes it that much more useful for.
See, and also when you also do reviews like this and you have laptops that are on the floor like that, it would be nice if you can actually include some of the sound so you can hear what the fan is doing when it's spinning up to full max.
You know, everyday stuff. It's got all the Razer Chroma lighting effects. You can literally paint your design on this key by key in any different color you want, or
That's
set
cool.
it to, you know, run the
I'm not
rainbow
gonna lie, that's
colors,
pretty cool.
just like you can with a lot of other Razer products. Keys better. You'll also note that even though this is a gigantic laptop.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it alone. So yeah, this one, the Dell XPS, they all are getting ready to launch now. They're all available so that you can pick it up. And it's kind of an interesting situation here going on with this guy. So, and a lot of these Razer Blade laptops. So we're going to leave it at that. I didn't know it actually had a review on there, so that makes things a little bit better and a little bit easier to find. So my 4080 pre-built got shipped without any internal packing foam. So this is from Moist Bruce. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I've never seen that. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my, I'd be hot. Oh, I'd be so hot. Oh my God. That is disgusting. Oh my God. What even is that? Jesus Christ, bro. I'd be so mad. Oh my God. And they'll try to blame you for it. I mean, the worst part, oh, I'm sorry, you can return it, but there's like a 15% restocking fee. And it's like, oh my goodness, why would you send that like that? Dear Lord, please help this man get his money back. LOL. That is crazy. Oh my God, return that. I'll get my money back. I'm sorry. Because if you send another one, there's no guarantee they're going to put packing foam in it. So there's a possibility that it can come damaged en route again. Like, that is insane. Insane. They shipped my new GPU in a freaking plastic bag from Amazon. Oh my God. Best Buy shipped me a 980 Pro NVMe in a paper envelope. Needless to say, it was broken in half when I opened it. I don't need would actually do something like that. It used in the latest use wadded up newspaper. Yeah. Yeah, that is incredible. Holy crap. Bro, I'd be so hot. Oh, I want my money back. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm hurting somebody. If this was my laptop, man, look, or I'm sorry, this is my desktop and it came like this. Jesus Christ, man. And what kind of graphics card is that? Is that like a 3080 Phoenix? So yeah, bro, I'd be, ooh, Lord. I'd be so mad. And they probably just like, oh, sir, yeah, we can replace the graphics card for you, but you can keep the rest of the parts. Nah, son, you're replacing this motherboard. I'm sorry. If that bent and it hit that hard, this motherboard may be damaged. This graphics card may be damaged. Your NVMe may be damaged. This pump may be damaged. Like, you have no idea. Like, that isn't, oh my God. Oh, dear Lord. What is even happening today? Woo, okay, wow, I'm already riled up and we haven't even started helping people yet. Okay, all right, okay. I'm ready. Let's actually start helping people. Let's do our jobs as professionals and help people. But dear Lord, I hope you get your money back. I would not work with that company again. I'm sorry. You can't ship that, bro. You got to put something around there to protect the graphics card. Graphics card that big and you can't even ship it properly? Like, come on, man. Oh, well, that's better. Okay, I think we saw this yesterday, so we'll just skip right past it. But yes, it is beautiful. And it's all, oh yeah, this was the guy with the Gigabyte 4090. I don't know how it ended up in my first tab. Is this right? Let me make sure. Yeah, no, this is right. It's just this happened to be my first one for some strange reason. But yeah, this is what my build looks like too. It's all white with the white power supply as well. But my CPU cooler is the black NZXT H53 or K53, whatever. But neither here nor there. Yes, this is an excellent setup. It's just that the mounting of it is a little crazy. Oh, I know why I did that. It's because I actually got the part in the mail. I was going to show it, but I didn't have time to take it apart, so we'll show it on another day. Okay, random black screen while gaming, about to throw PC out the window. I remember this. So he was getting black screens, and he said, but in the event viewer though, it was showing error code 49 or error code 41. For those of you who are not aware, error code 41. I switched to the AMD one. All right, so error code 41. If we go to event viewer, and we go to Windows logs, and we go to the system logs, it shows up in here. And if we maximize that, you can probably see it a little bit better. But yeah, so basically it'll show like this and it'll be an error code 41. But basically that just means that the CPU, oh, I'm sorry, the power, it lost power unexpectedly. That's what essentially that means. But it shows that on every crash. It's not something that you can generally create a basis from unless it's the only error you have. Then you can kind of look into it and see if there's an actual problem. But essentially that was the error code that it was giving them. So basically it wasn't giving them anything to work with as to why it was crashing. He was playing Modern Warfare 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Fortnite. And we started talking about this. I said, oh yeah, so essentially he has a little brother and they swapped a few parts, and he has also a Corsair RM850X. He's already replaced the CPU, the motherboard, the graphics card, because he swapped it out with his little brothers. Oh no, I'm sorry, not the graphics card, the CPU, the motherboard, and a few other components. I can't remember everything. Let's see what he said. Issue with the old 5600X X570 config. In that case, the motherboard would try to reboot. This does not happen with my new motherboard, right? So he replaced the motherboard, replaced the CPU. I also changed my RAM kit. So he replaced the RAM kit as well. Tried my brother's GPU, same as mine, a 6800 XT with a different custom, issue was still there. Okay, cool. So he swapped out the graphics card as well. Latest Dell issue model 5060s go into sleep mode and does not wake up. No fix for it yet. It is a video driver issue. I saw that recently about them going into sleep mode. That's actually very interesting. I'll keep that noted. Actually, you know what? Let me grab that from you. Let me grab it and put it in our notes. That way, if we run into that issue again, well, we will be ready. So let me just grab that real quick here and open my notes here and do that. I appreciate it. Good looking out, yo. Okay. So yeah, with this guy here, he replaced the graphics card, CPU, and motherboard, as well as memory, yet he was still having the issue. But he had that Corsair RM850X, which we had the conversation about. We were talking about the situation with the RM850X actually has different cables than the 750. Particularly the 24 pin is actually different pinouts. So if he's using the 750, it may be what's causing his issue. So we talked about it, and I was telling him to switch it out with the actual custom cables, or the actual cables that came with the power supply of the 850, because he was using custom cables, and most people don't know that the 750 and 850 have totally different cables, and well, as far as the 24 pin is concerned. And so we were letting him know, and we were also telling him to swap his monitor with his brother's monitor as well as the HDMI cable, because the monitor is another device that he hasn't swapped out yet. And so he said, hey, I'll swap out the cables last night, but didn't get a chance to play enough. Issue could happen every 30 minutes or every 5 hours. I said, got you, no hurries, but we appreciate the update. We have a show to run, so new updates are great at bringing us closure. So yesterday I swapped and reseated everything, every original cable. So he swapped out and reseated every original cable. I also installed a spare fresh NVMe and a fresh Windows install. Now I'm installing Red Dead Redemption 2, and today I'll try it and see if it crashes. Hopefully everything works. Great, bro. Keep us posted. Great. Thanks for the update. Hey, I like this. I think it helps us telling people like, hey, we got a show to run. We need closure for some of these issues. We want to make sure we get a W. It's very important to us. We take W's and assist trophies here. We don't really like L's very much. So we need to know if what we are saying actually works so we can actually get better, so we can troubleshoot these a little bit faster. So good looking out, bro, actually telling us exactly where you are. So we'll see what happens with that. At this point, though, this man has replaced everything. He's wiped his hard drive. He put in a brand new NVMe, and he's reinstalling Red Dead Redemption 2. He's already replaced all the cables. All that's left, if it's not this, remember, he's already replaced his graphics card. All that's left is the monitor and cable. Like literally, there's nothing left. So this is a pretty good shot. I think he's going to be good to go on this one here because, I mean, he's replaced every component. Some components he replaced before we even started talking to him, but he's literally replaced every component now. So the chance of that issue coming back is slim to none. Yeah, putting in the effort for real, man. I like it when they at least let us know, that way we can have some understanding. Sometimes they may have some kind of rare issue that we can notate, like Folded Meat did back in the day when he had that crazy issue with the what was it, the 2060. And him playing games and him dropping his frame rate, like we kind of kept going back and forth with him. So it's always great so we can have some people that, update us and let us know how things are going. Okay, Exit Moscow, good looking out, yo. Ooh. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to float this idea and see if those of you with an A4H2O would be interested in a vented panel variant with dual 60mm fans for exhaust or intake. I would make the fan bracket STL freely available for those of you who can print at home or offer a bundle for both. No, I will not review. I refuse. I just walk away. Yo, look, if somebody was like talking to me and they're telling me, they don't want to reboot, it depends, right? So if they're unionized, I don't mess with it. That's like that one thing. Like sometimes if they're unionized, man, you don't want to mess with them because they got lawyers, they got people that's backing them. Like sometimes if they're like, hey, I can't reboot. Like I've had that happen with radiologists before, and a radiologist, like I'll ask them, hey, can we go ahead and reboot this computer? Because they used to have the FirePro graphics. They actually were running the FirePro. They didn't have the Quadro. Some had Quadros, but usually it was FirePro. And they'd have the FirePro graphics for their dictations, and they'll run into an issue and they'll call us. I'll get on site. I'll be like, hey, can we go ahead and reboot this PC? No, I'm sorry, you can't reboot this PC. And it's like, whatever happens next is your fault. I just want you to know, like, good luck with that. And you kind of have to be honest with them. Be like, hey, I really think that a reboot will fix it. If they say no, hey, I'll try to do everything in my power to actually fix it. But if a reboot is what'll fix it, then you don't want to do a reboot, then it is what it is, So at that point in time, I'll probably just like pull out a laptop and get that ready so they can at least try on a laptop or something along those lines. But I've run into those kind of situations where, they're like, no, it can't be rebooted, because generally when they run into that, or when I run into that, it's because they're in the middle of something that can't be stopped. Like, for example, they're doing a dictation and it can't be stopped, or they needed something urgent and it can't be postponed and it's already in the process of sending or something along those lines, or they're sending a gigantic file from one location to the other and they don't want to break it. So they either want you to wait a very long time, so it can be like 10-15 minutes for the file to actually transfer, or they want you to just leave it alone. So yeah, I run into that situation a lot depending on what field I was in throughout my career. And yeah, you just kind of work with it. It's like, okay, well, if it's Jenny from the block, I'm sorry, Jenny from the block, this PC is getting rebooted unless you don't want it fixed, and then I can just walk out. but sometimes, man, them doctors you don't play games with. I like this, but it's a little tacky. I'm sorry. It's kind of tacky. When you think about the original A4H2O case, like this guy here, H2O. Oh, if I can actually spell, that'd be great. H2O. So the original front of it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. And to turn that into wood, it's just not ideal. Like, for example, the SFX series is a series that is very fond of having this flushed look with its panels, and to turn that into wood is a bit much, but I would like the idea of having fans here, but at the same time, I would need something better looking than that. That's a little much, you know, it looks like it's kind of like a DIY on that, because it's wood here, but everything else is just straight metal, so it doesn't fit properly. Maybe if you actually turn that into metal with that kind of a grooving and an indentation, that would actually be pretty cool. So maybe if it was metal with that, that would be pretty sweet, and like have eyes or something. So like, and that would be like the mouth. That would be pretty sweet, but I don't know how I feel about that. I do like the fact that he has like two, it looks like 120. No, actually, it looks kind of like 92 millimeter, like thick fans. That's pretty sweet though, to actually have some extra cooling in that guy. But yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. That's not, I mean, it's pretty, it's not bad looking. I'll give you that, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. Yeah, that's neat. It's hard to even give it like, oh yeah, that's the best thing in the world. It's okay, you know. All right, whatever. Okay, back to helping people. Okay, cool. Yeah, this Wi-Fi guy. Oh, we fixed somebody. Cool. Let's go ahead and collect this W. Okay, cool. So this guy here, he had an issue connecting to his Wi-Fi. I said, well, pic/video would be nice, but only for entertainment purposes as we would run a show, that troubleshoots this kind of stuff. Okay, so with this issue here, I would say that you can try to go to website of the manufacturer that makes your laptop to see if there's a new Wi-Fi driver update to download. If so, try that. If not, then try to get closer to the router to see if that makes it easier for the laptop to connect. Just read your responses. Your Wi-Fi adapter is going to sleep. Try this device manager and network adapters. Click the Wi-Fi card and hit properties, power management. Allow this computer to turn off this device to save power. Make sure this is unchecked and hit go from there. So that is from, we'll do it from Windows 11 because I think I may already be there, or at least close to it. No, I'm not actually. Let me click on Windows 11. I'm pretty sure I clicked on Windows 11, or did I click on Windows 10? Are they both showing the same screen? That's so weird. Okay, well, whatever. We'll go to this one and we'll just do that. And then we'll click on AMD and we'll do that. That's fine, whatever. I'm not tripping. So device manager. And we said, click here, go to your properties and power management, but this one doesn't have it. But now I don't want to restart. But the only reason why it doesn't have it because it wants to restart and I'm not letting it. But if we go to, let's see, properties, one of you guys got to have it. Oh, that's right. It didn't have it. So I went to another device and it was annoying me. But yeah, essentially there's going to be a tab that says power management. And from there, you can actually make that change. So yeah, let's go back to work and let me do something real quick here because that is going to annoy the living crap out of me. This is up, but it's not seen. So hold on 1 second while I switch here. And that doesn't look like what it should be. And do that, and do that, and do that. And no, that's not it. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. There it is. Okay. Out of studio mode. There we go. Okay. All right, that didn't take long. Okay, cool. So let's go back and continue helping people. In Explorer.exe and Task Manager, then restart it or reboot. I'm tired of seeing doors on the front. Yeah, you can also do a reboot on that. But yeah, it looks like updating the Wi-Fi driver for this one here definitely. Oh yeah. So he said Explorer.exe and Task Manager and restart it, reboot. Yeah, you can do it from that way as well. I always tell people to do reboots here because it's a little bit easier. To save power. This, make sure it's unchecked and then kind of go from there. And generally, yeah, after that, you can also tell them to do a reboot just to make sure everything is good. But yeah, his issue definitely sounded like power management. There were a few people talking in the chats and he was actually saying that his computer worked when he rebooted. Oh, that's what happened, right? So somebody in the chat, we can actually refresh this and actually see. Somebody in the chat actually told him, oh, it was already gone. But yeah, somebody told him to try rebooting and he said it temporary, or yeah, I'd say forget all the networks and try connecting to each one at a time. And he said, thanks for the reply. I did that, which temporarily worked until my computer went to sleep. That's what gave us the idea that his computer was going to sleep or that it was turning a network card off. And once it did, it caused all kinds of problems. So that's what ended up happening with him. But yeah, a reboot would be great after this as well if he's still having the problem. Okay, next guy. So this is from Breaking Nirvana. And Breaking Nirvana, okay, let me see if I can remember this. So he had a 2060 saying GPU fans running at 100% speed but not detected by PC. So let's see what this is. Okay, so this is his gear. Oh, that's right. He's the guy with the ITX and the CryoRig C7. So he's definitely running an ITX build, and he was running it in the Node, right? So the Node is kind of a small form factor. It's this guy. Well, I mean, you can see it from the part picker. It is this guy. It's the Node. It's basically the Sentry, the Sentry 2.0. And so we were going back and forth about it. He said he tried a few things. The issue is basically that once the computer loads into Windows, one GPU fan runs at max speed and the other doesn't run. The GPU fans aren't an issue when I'm in BIOS settings. So basically, he had one fan that was running at max and one that wasn't running at all. And this is a 2060, so he only has two fans. He said he tried a few things, reseating and cleaning the context of the GPU and riser driver updates, using MSI Afterburner to change the fan curve, yada, yada, yada. I said, well, we are with you, bro. He said, any ideas or appreciate any recommendations? I said, we are with you. Try swapping it out to another PC is an excellent idea because I think he actually came up with that. He said, the only things left to do is to plug the 2060 into another build I have to make sure it's not a faulty GPU and update the BIOS, which I've never done out of fear. LOL. So he's done everything, right? So he's basically cleaned the context of the GPU and riser. He's also done all driver updates. He's tried MSI Afterburner to change the fan curve. That didn't work either. Custom profiles or adjusting the general fan slider. And when I use hardware monitor CPU ID, the GPU fans are listed at 0 RPM, which is horrible. That's actually really, really bad. So the fans seem like they aren't being detected by the motherboard. That is absolutely correct. He said the only things I have left is to plug it into another graphics or another PC. I have to make sure it's not faulty, as well as a BIOS update. And he's pretty much right. There's nothing left to do here. I mean, we're only talking about a graphics card. So yeah, you could also try a different PCIe slot to see if it makes a difference. Also make sure the 8 pin is all the way connected into the GPU. He said, unfortunately, the motherboard is a mini ITX, so he only has one PCIe slot. Duh, I should have known that because it's a Node 202. And there is only one PCIe slot for a GPU. I've reseated it to make sure everything is pushed in all the way. Gotcha. Well, at that point, he's really only talking about swapping it out with another PC at that point, seeing the fact he doesn't have any more PCIe slots or swap fan places. Kind of like listening to a brand new LG clothes washer operator first time in your home. Is it working? Yeah, with this one, like this is it's kind of an interesting one because he only has that one slot, so you can't do a whole lot with it. But yeah, if one fan is at max and the other fan is not moving at all, but both fans spin in BIOS, then that lets you know that there's nothing interfering with that fan. So if it's actually doing that, that means something really may be wrong, or it's a graphics issue, or it's a BIOS issue. So maybe either the BIOS may need to be updated or the graphics, but at the same time, I understand that fear of not wanting to update your BIOS. So the only thing that you can really do on this one here is swap it to another PC. So, yeah, so you are only down to a few options at this point. Technically, swapping to another PC is probably the best way to handle this situation. However, if it fixes the problem, let us know, because this issue would then become very interesting. At that point, it'd be a bug. So if he swapped it out and that fixes it, then we're talking about software, which means that we're looking at the GPU drivers or the BIOS. So there may be a particular BIOS that he's on that he may need to update to in order to actually fix the issue with the fan speed, or it would be a graphics issue and he may have to go down to a different driver because it's having some incompatibilities with his graphics card. So either or, it'll be very, very, very interesting to see what happens once he does this, because that's really all that's left at this point. Could you mean the GPU is that good? Only real tests play a hardcore game. Yeah, he was. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Let's do it like this. We'll do it like this. Let's add it. Also, what do you typically do with this GPU? Do you have a video game? Damn, that's a good idea. You're right. You're right. Smart cat, smart cat. Do you have a video game that you like to play that is pretty demanding? Pretty demanding. We want to see what would happen if you stress the GPU out. Or you can download a GPU stress test. Stress test like Cinnamon. Well, Cinnamon stress the GPU? I think so. Let's just say it's a GPU stress test, so he can just use whatever he's comfortable with. So yeah, we can do that. We can go that route as well. So it could be that. Yeah, it could be that. It's kind of an interesting one though, because even when it spins up, like I've had situations where I would have fans that don't even show to be on. Like for example, the fans themselves are off until I actually play a game. I used to use Mad Onion. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones that people like to use, and what's crazy is like if you look at your graphics card and there's no fans on, I've had that situation happen before. I've had 3 slot fans with the second one that won't spin up, but the other 2 will. So I've had those kind of situations, but on a 2 slot, one spinning up and one not, that's dangerous. I haven't run into that one too often, unless it's just straight up not being stressed. So if he's noticing it, yeah, I guess a video game may actually be the best way to go, just to make sure that it's okay. But if he also doesn't see the issue whenever he swaps it to a different GPU, they both do the exact same thing. So we'll play it both ways in case he doesn't feel like actually taking it out and putting it into a different case. This may actually get it done as well. So that way it'll give us a good understanding of exactly what's happening with this guy. Because technically, if he actually started playing a video game with only that one fan, he may actually overheat the GPU. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with that. But yeah, let's give him both options. That's a good idea. All right, Breaking Nirvana. I hope that helps. Keep us posted. All right, group 1 done. All right, let's do this. Let me get something to drink here and we can move on to group 2. A lot of repeats. I had it mixed up, but sometimes even when you mix it up, it can, not have some new ones with some old ones. But yeah, we troubleshoot everything now. We've moved up. So now we can troubleshoot PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. We have them all. So a lot of them, especially like when you start going down to the middle ones, we have Xbox issues, we have PlayStation issues, we have Switch issues, we have everything. So now we can actually switch between them depending on what the issue is. Which controller? I'm sorry, I have this controller, this controller. I'm trying to make sure which one I have to turn on the Xbox and the PlayStation, which I believe is already on. Oh no, it wasn't. Okay, whatever. Alrighty, so getting those 2 ready, because I think the video games are in group 3. Yeah, it is. Okay, so group 2. This is from Miserable Ad. Oh, it's a new one. Okay, so fresh install of Windows 10 stuck on hardware monitor screen. My friend wanted to do a full wipe of her computer since it was owned by her grandfather at first. I at first used the built-in Windows 10 factory default settings so we can start on a fresh slate for the computer. However, after this reset, it prompted me to log in to the owner account of the computer. And when I tried, it said the user profile login system had failed and it just forcibly restarted Windows. I tried to do another Windows reinstall from the settings screen, shift restart, which still led to the same problem. I tried booting into safe mode, which let me log in, but the Windows desktop screen was unusable, black with occasional flashing desktop bar. I tried using my Windows 10 on a USB to reinstall Windows 10 directly onto the computer, but it would show me the Windows logo for just a half second, then bring me to the failed boot screen, black with flashing white underscore in the upper left. That's not what's happening there. If I was lucky when using the Windows 10 on a stick, it would display an orange screen with white vertical lines. Okay, I took out this old hard drive and used my computer to disk part, clean it, reformat it, reinstall Windows 10 onto it, and then put it back in the old computer. When in BIOS, it recognized the hard drive as healthy and usable, but when I try to boot it, it gets stuck on the hardware monitor screen after going through BIOS. I've reseated everything under the sun, reset CMOS, and even tried a fresh new hard drive with a fresh install of Windows 10, which got me nowhere further. I'm a bit stumped on what to do besides trash the entire thing. And it's a motherboard. It's a BioStar N68S3B. Okay. Well, okay. So originally, okay. So the first thing was whenever he started talking about, I tried to use Windows 10 on a reboot CD, but it wasn't the priority. So basically, you have to change the precedence to make that thumb drive a higher priority than the hard drive. This is the reason why it failed him and gave him that boot screen with the underscore, because the hard drive still took precedence over the thumb drive. So that's the first thing, but that neither here nor there, because he fixed this issue because he killed that operating system when he wiped it. So then he turned around and wiped that operating system and then tried to reinstall it, but he's still using a hard drive. So it's going to take a while for it to boot. When in BIOS, it recognizes the hard drive as healthy and usable, but when I try to boot it, it gets stuck on the hardware monitor screen after going through BIOS. Okay, so what does he mean when he say hardware monitor screen? Let me make sure, because there's several hardware monitor screens. Quick question. Can you show us a picture of what you mean by stuck on hardware monitor? I see that in the chat. I'll get to it in a second. Monitor screen. I modded my Xbox 360 and it ran so cool all the time that no fans were ever turned on. Actually, I know a lot of people that have actually modded Xbox 360s and Xboxes and then put like straight up Windows on it. Hey, if this Xbox Series X keeps looking at me, I might do the same for that guy. Quick question. Can you show us a picture of what you meant by stuck on hardware monitor screen? I just want to make sure, because obviously hardware monitor screen is an option inside of Windows. So I think he may be talking about that screen where it actually gives you options because it's unable to boot properly, which means that he may have to reinstall Windows again. But let's see here. Stuck on hardware monitor. With the new hard drive, try to reinstall Windows. But before you let it boot, press F2 to go into the BIOS and go to the boot tab and make sure the thumb drive is the first device listed. Save and reboot. This will allow you to install Windows directly and see if that gets it going. I don't even want to make emphasis on the motherboard just yet, because he technically hasn't really made inferences on the hard drive just yet. All you've done is replace the hard drive with another Windows version, but I'm not exactly sure if what you installed was correct. So the best way to do this is go ahead and try to wipe it and reinstall Windows from the hard drive itself. Then we can kind of start looking at motherboards and BIOS, maybe stuck on drivers. I get a PC being stuck for 48 hours and third day and install process completed, LOL. So not always a pause or crash. It was this many people use SSDs are better. Yeah, I already knew it was going to be game over as soon as you said you got it from your grandfather. There's a pretty good chance that that computer is going to be pretty old because you got it from a person. Generally, if it's like an elderly PC, that it's going to be a PC that's going to be a little bit dated because they don't need as much. You know what I mean? They can have the same computer and have it for years and years and years. So it's going to have hard drive. It's going to have like PCIe, just regular PCIe. So generally it's going to be kind of an older computer. So you kind of run into that a lot. And with this one here, the best way to go about it is kind of looking at that hard drive, seeing if you can go ahead and reinstall Windows and go from there. Now, this will take some time. We should probably let them know. This will take some time since it's a hard drive, but see if that gets you back in, gets Windows back up. But if not, let us know. We'll go with that. We don't, because everything else, okay, let's look at that, right? If we talk about, surprise, Windows 10 did not complain. Yeah. If we talk about if it's maybe a motherboard issue, okay, then we're looking at BIOS updates, and we would have to walk him through setting up a BIOS update. And on top of that, that may not resolve the issue. If it's driver issue because of the hard drive, him swapping it out to another one, hopefully should have resolved it, because, you know, it's rare. Sometimes people can have hard drives that are different or the same brand, but he said he put in a new hard drive. So what are the chances that the hard drive that he has and the hard drive that his grandfather had for years is the same one? one. You see what I'm saying? Like, unless we're talking about like a Western Digital Caviar Blue that's been around for like 9-10 years, the chances of those being the exact same are very slim. So he has two different hard drives, more than likely, with two different types of firmware. So if he's tried both and they're giving him the same problem, then we need to kind of look into it, because I'm thinking that maybe the Windows 10 install that he actually put on it may not have been an ideal version. I don't know what he meant when he was talking about this whole orange screen thing. He's going to have to show us. But if it gives us that again, we'll kind of take it from there. But trying to walk him through BIOS right now, or saying, you know, motherboard right now, or graphics or anything like that, it's just not worth it. It's better to let him go ahead and wipe it and see what happens, because that'll be a brand new install, and then just troubleshoot it from there. 990 lifetime warranty, and tear clock prematurely ages super fast. Yeah, I actually do have an NVMe. I have several. I have all NVMe's. All of these computers, even the ones that I switched to, like when I switched to the Windows 10, which is an AMD with a 6900 XT, that has NVMe. When I switched to the NVIDIA one, which is a RTX 3090 with a so RTX 3090 with a NVMe, it has 4 terabytes of NVMe. It's actually my computer I travel with. And then even the Mac, the Mac has an SSD. It doesn't have the NVMe, but I didn't see a point in actually upgrading it too much further, because that's pretty much all I needed. So yeah, most of my computers, with the exception of the Mac Mini, has NVMe. So yeah, I can't go back. Like once you start getting all NVMe drives, like there is no going back. It's over. Like there's I'll troubleshoot you and your issues with SSDs and hard drives, but I will never go back to them. That's how well I've been figuring it out. Like I have some SSDs still hanging around, but man, like no, I can't go back to hard drives, man. I just can't. So miserable ad, keep us posted. That's kind of what we would handle this one, and just play it off of that. We don't want to give him too much information, and then it'd be kind of confusing for him, because it appears he may be a little new to trying to troubleshoot an issue. Alrighty, this is for best translator, pink tint monitor. I've been having an issue on Destiny 2 that happens when a notification pops up or I switch between monitors. The screen turns pink. Why are you offended by a pink screen, sir? You can continue playing the game with a pink screen. What are you talking about? I've uninstalled / reinstalled my graphics drivers, switched from HDMI to DisplayPort, disconnected my second monitor. The problem still persists. The only fix I have found is to disable HDR. I can freely switch between monitors and receive notifications. I am running a GeForce 3090 Ti with a 2K and a 1080p monitor. Guessing he's gaming on the 2K monitor. Okay, well, okay. So of course the first thing I was gonna be is looking at the whole HDR situation. But at the same time, if he switches to that 1080p Spectre, there's a pretty good chance that it does not have HDR. So there's no way to actually have him switch to something that is going to be comparable. If he switches to that 1080p, it's going to fix his issue, because he already knows that disabling HDR fixes his issue. So his issue is with his HDR settings. So here, let's do this here. Let's go to something that can give us HDR. I think. So here, let's see. Let's see. I think this has the option for HDR. Let's see. NVIDIA, let's see. NVIDIA control panel. I don't think it will show it on its own. Not without actually, yeah. I don't know if it will actually show it without us actually having one that's capable. I don't think this one is. I do have one. I just don't have one with a, well, do I? Oh yeah, I do. I just don't have the HDMI cable going into it, because I didn't think I'd get an HDR issue so quickly. But yeah, let's just switch back. Let's just work it. Okay, so every time I hear HDR, I think sound systems, high dynamic range. I think that too, because I don't even know what real HDR stands for. Like I can't even remember. But I think it actually still stands for high dynamic range, but I think they're actually just talking about this, but in order to do HDR nowadays, like I've played it before, like for example, the bottom monitor I have is a 60 hertz monitor, which HDR, and it is 1000 nits. So its peak brightness is good enough to actually use HDR and be playable. My top one does not support HDR, I do not think. So with him and his HDR turning things pink, what we can try to do is play a different game and then try HDR and then go from there. I think like mine can do it because I have the 4090 and a computer that can do HDR. Let me see what my settings say, and then we can switch to it if it's interesting. So let's do this here. Let me let mine load because I never use the GeForce Experience control panel. Okay, and it wants to install an update, which we obviously cannot do because I am streaming. All right, we'll just go back to it. So we'll just work as issue without it. Alrighty, so for this issue, since you don't have another monitor with HDR, sorry, screen popped up. We already to buy a 4090, but my GTX 960 has been a rock star. The GTX 960 is a rock star, and on top of that, if you only game at like 1080p, there's really no point. The only time I would really say kind of going up to that is if you do what I do, where you have multiple inputs and you have multiple streams and computers and you're troubleshooting things left and right, and you also do a lot of rendering and video editing, or if you're like a gamer and you want to game at 4K or 2K, 240 hertz and actually hit 240 hertz. Those are the only two situations where I can see, or more. Those are the only kind of situations where I can see where you would actually benefit from a 4090. Outside of that, I would not say go for it. But you know, it really kind of depends. If you're already going to go for a 3090, then might as well go for a 4090. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to go for a 4080, you might as well go for a 4090, depending on the situation and what you have or what you have plans on getting in the next 5 years. So yeah, if you only have a 1080p monitor, bro, at 60 frames per second, you're good to go. So, you know, you're probably not gonna have much of a difference because it's gonna be the exact same thing because we're talking 1080p. That guy becomes CPU bound before it becomes GPU bound. You may not even notice a difference. Like we had one issue with a customer who, what was this, maybe 4 days ago, who basically, no, this was actually a week ago. So he was running 1080p and he had moved, I'm sorry, he was actually running 2K. No, he was running 1080p. He was running 1080p and he switched from what did he have? He had a 3080 Ti and he switched to he had a 3080 Ti and he switched to a 4080, right? So he had a 3080, yeah, something like that. 3080 Ti, and he switched to a 4080, something like that. And he noticed that his issue was his frame rate actually decreased, or it was still around the same amount. So for example, I think with the 3080, he was around like 100 to 120 on Call of Duty. And then with the 4080, he was around the exact same amount. And we were talking about it. I was like, yeah, because at that point you're just CPU bound because he had a very weak CPU. He had, well, not necessarily weak, but it was a Ryzen 5 2600, right? So he had a Ryzen 5 2600 and I have a 3900X in eco mode. And I was like, okay, well, those two guys are the same because I have a 3090 Ti and my frame rate is the same as yours. So what that really tells me is that you're really more so CPU bound than GPU bound. So we've run into those kind of situations where we've had customers that are straight up CPU bound and just don't realize it because they have nothing to compare it against. And this guy here, he has nothing to compare his HDR against. But what we can say is, since you don't have another monitor with HDR, we already know swapping to the Spectre will fix the issue. What we can try instead is playing a different game in HDR. With the new game, does the issue with pink screen persist? Persist. The issue with pink screen persist. He said he already tried uninstalling and reinstalling drivers. So he's already tried to uninstall and reinstall his drivers. So also, what is the model number of the Asus monitor you are using? All right, so we'll go with that. So we'll kind of probe it and have him test HDR in a different game. That way we have something to go off of because as of right now, we don't really know. I don't I'll have a computer with HDR tomorrow. I just didn't have a long enough HDMI cable, but I'll have the 6900 XT will have HDR. That way you can actually see it from there. But yeah, with that HDR setting, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do with that. If it's showing a pink screen, you can try different drivers, but you've already tried an uninstall and reinstall. So the best way to do it is to go ahead and try a different game to see if it also gives you a pink screen. If it does, then we may be looking at something with the monitor. You also try swapping it from HDR to display. You still have the issue, so that worries me. But we're either looking at monitor or GPU at this point. So that's going to, or software. So yeah, that's the way we'll have to play it, but it's easier to play it if we basically tell you to go ahead and try a different game. That will really point us in the right direction, because if you have that issue in another game, then we're looking at software or we're looking at the graphics card. So we'll just kind of go from there. My favorite customer, though, ones that who give me their old hardware when it's still fantastic. Yo, it's like going to a garage sale and like seeing some crazy computer components and they just have it sitting there. They don't even know what it is. They're like, oh, I'll take this off of your hand for $5 and sell it for $800. No problem, sir. Have a good day. Hey, you know what? Here's an extra $5 tip. Thanks for the help. Okay, farewell, old friend. You served me well. We H1D. Oh, the G502. Okay, okay. So there's a few things with this one here that I wanted to talk about. There are some but mice in my day that I would probably put on a plaque somewhere. The WoW Cataclysm mouse is probably one of the best mice that springs to mind. That mouse was awesome, especially whenever you were playing WoW or any other MMO. WoW Cataclysm mouse. This mouse was so good. Okay, so first off, it was fat. Okay, so it was a gigantic fat mouse. So it was huge and it was fat, so it was great for people with big hands. Secondly, all of these buttons are very, very, very soft. So you can press this button and not have to worry about whether or not you misplace or hit the wrong button, because at the time, it was this mouse and it was the Naga. And the Naga had like 1,000 buttons, but your thumb could cover like 8 buttons. So you try to press one and you end up pressing like 7 buttons. So the Naga did not work, and this was before the Hex. So with the 6 buttons. So it came out before that, and it would basically gave you just about as many buttons as you want, plus some buttons on the side without it having to be the Naga. It was so good. If I had to immortalize any mouse, I would say it's going to be this guy, and then the MMO7. So the what was it? It was MMO7 Cyborg. This mouse here was pretty sweet too, because this mouse here, you could change it so that it can fit your actual hand movement. Plus you had so many buttons. You had this button, you had this button here. Let me switch back so y'all can see it. You had this button here, this button. This is also a button. So when you turn it to the left, that's a button. When you turn it to the right, it's a button. When you shift and turn it to the left and right, that's another 2 buttons. Then you had this button, this button. This right here is a down, left, up, right. So that's 4 buttons. And then you shift, so that's another 4. You had this button, and this button. So it was so sick. It was so sick. This is one of the best mice that should be immortalized on somebody's plaque, because there were 13 buttons. It was basically the Naga without having all the buttons in the same place as the Naga. Oh my God, if they sold this mouse again, I don't care if it was $300, I'd still buy it, because there is no mouse on this earth as of right now that had better button placement than this guy here. This guy had the best button placement, because if you wanted to play a shooter, it had the same button placement as a shooter. If you wanted to play an MMO, it had enough buttons to support the MMO. I don't care if we're talking Final Fantasy. I don't care if we're talking about WoW. Those 2 guys, or even Lost Ark. All of those, you can basically map all of those buttons to this, because that's 13 buttons plus shift. So that's another 13. So yeah, it was... I love this mouse. I never even got rid of it. It doesn't work anymore. This button fell off. This button fell off. This still works. This still works. This still works. And this still works. But these 2 buttons fell off. So I can't do anything with it. So I can't use it anymore. But I can't get rid of it either. So yeah, I need to put this on a plaque somewhere, because this is probably one of the best. Plus, it was orange, and I was already done. Like, they had an orange one, and then they came out with a silver one, and I had that silver one, bro. Oh my God, that silver one was so clean. I just want a big fat mouse with side buttons and a fan to keep my hand cool and dry. You know what? That'd be so sick to have a mouse with a cooler that can keep your hand cool. So whenever you're using it, it can keep your hand nice and calm and cool. I like the Matrix mouse when the Matrix movie came out. Yo, there have been a lot of really dope mice, but man, that cyborg was just so sick. I definitely feel your pain. Pour one out for the wow Cataclysm, and Cyborg MMO7 mice. They, along with the G502, were truly ahead of their time. Yeah, those mice right there, man. The G502, MMO7, and the Cataclysm. Oh, that wild Cataclysm mouse. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And it was so light. It was big, but light. You could literally pick it up. It was the lightest mouse ever, but it was so big and it could fit perfectly in your hands. Such a good mouse. Okay, let me stop swooning over mice. Let's go back to helping people. All right, we're back to Xbox. Let me get ready. Bro, you gonna make me watch The Matrix over again to see what that mouse was. All right, so this is from Self Federal. He was saying some games are not reading on his Xbox X or Series X. So I bought the Dark Souls trilogy, which is excellent, by the way. And for whatever reason, Dark Souls 1 and 2 won't even register, but Dark Souls 3 popped up no problem and installed like normal. All the games seem in perfect condition with no scratches or anything else, which means that he's using the disc on the Xbox Series X. I have plenty of games on disc, and those two are the only ones I've ever had to do this. I've already ran through the usual troubleshoots, hard, soft resets, cleared caches. I'd rather not factory reset because I don't have Wi-Fi, but I also have a Series X if that helps. Any and all ideas will be greatly appreciated. I said, well, you have only talked about one collection. Did you buy it used? Are there other games you experienced this with? No, most of the games are on disc, and I've never ran into this problem before, most of which are used. Okay, and the trilogy I bought was used, but the discs are in almost perfect condition from what I can see. The only games I can't get to pop for install are 360 games and below, even though the Series X is supposed to be backwards compatible. Also, I bought my console brand new last year, so I don't know what the problem could be. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do here. So when we go to like the Xbox, and I got to figure out which controller it is. Okay, once I figure out which controller it is and we go to the settings, you don't really have a whole lot of options when you get here. So, especially when it comes to the disc, you really can only just kind of clear the cache of the actual game itself. So, here we go. So disc. So basically you don't have any options to actually do anything. Like for example, when they had the cleaning feature on the Nintendo Wii U, you can actually get a disc that can clean the actual sensor, but you don't really have that for Blu-rays, and you don't really have that for the Xbox either, nor can you really do anything here, So basically, let my receiver decode. No, so we don't have any options to play with here. So there's not a whole lot we can do, and he doesn't want to do a wipe in order to actually play these games. So with this one here, if he's only having it with these games, he usually buys used. It could be that his sensor may be malfunctioning on him, but the better option will be how old is this? Okay, so this is only 1 day ago. Did you just buy this? You just buy this? How about returning it and getting a replacement used copy, citing you had issues running the other two CDs or Blu-rays Blu-ray discs on your Xbox Series X, or is it outside of the return policy? Typically, if you're buying it used, that means he bought it from like a GameStop or something, or whatever is equivalent to GameStop in his area. So they usually have a 14-day policy, and we've only been talking for one, and he put it up after 1 day. So hopefully, okay. So he did try to play Dark Souls 3, popped up no problem. Dark Souls 3 is a week game to beat. So, but at the same time, you know, a week plus what, 1 day, 2 day. So we're talking about, you know, maybe 10 days tops, you know, maybe 10, 11 days that maybe he's had it. So there's a pretty good shot he may be able to actually return this. I would say go for that one first because anything else is going to be bad. So let's look at it, right? So Xbox Series X, the only thing that you can really do in that situation is try to wipe it to see if that will help. But at the same time, you're wiping a device because you're having an issue reading a couple of CDs, but you can read everything else. That's not a good reason to wipe it. You know, I mean, basically you would wipe it because you're thinking the software may be corrupted, but that is a possibility, but that is a very rare possibility. I would say if it's used, CDs that you're using and you've been using it for a while, and that's pretty much the way you do things on your Xbox Series X, then I would try to make sure it's not the CDs. And that would be the best way to troubleshoot it because everything else gets real bad, real bad. Because then we're like, okay, well, if you try a wipe and the wipe doesn't fix it, that's all you can do. There's no options to change anything on the Xbox when it comes to the disc. So we'll go with just the return policy and just kind of stick it with that. And then just kind of go from there because, I mean, anything else is going to be very dangerous. All right, here. Self-Federal, keep us posted here. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This fan is like blowing in my face. I just Googled Matrix mouse. Nobody has it. I better take a picture of it and make the picture famous. Yo, okay. Matrix mouse. Is that what it is? Matrix computer mouse. Computer mouse. You mean the trackball one? Okay. Oh no, this one here, I guess. That isn't really a mouse, but it's like the receiving end of the trackball. Maybe. Or maybe this one. That actually looks crazy. Oh my god, what even is that? No. I feel like my thumb would like fall off with something like this. Though it is interesting. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it, man. I don't need to try to figure out where buttons is, but that looks like it may actually be pretty interesting. That's actually, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Nope, it has a green symbols on it. Oh, okay, gotcha. So it must be something cray. All right, fair enough. Well, I do like this one, even though this mouse is super expensive. I saw this. This is the new Wraith Mini mouse, but it's like $300. So just pretend I didn't show that to you. Let's go ahead and go to the next person to help, because that Wraith Mini, oh my god, yeah, hand cooler nice. That Wraith Mini is super expensive. I don't even want to talk about it. So, okay, cool. So we talked about, this is the new one. All right. Oh, no, sorry. This is the one we just did. Did we have 2 Xbox issues or just one? No, the other one was a mouse. Okay, cool. So this is from Angry COVID. I am making a second post in hopes that this gets more attention. I'm having a serious problem with my YouTube app. Videos are briefly working and then they cut out. Like you'll see the ads for a second and then it will cut to the something went wrong screen. Okay. Typically, this happens for one of 2 reasons. There is an issue. Well, here, we'll just move it to the first screen. There is an issue with hardware acceleration. Oh, I promise I know how to spell acceleration. Or 2, there is an issue with your pop-up blockers, good sir. Pop-up blockers, good sir. So, or ad blocker. Yeah, ad blocker. That's exactly what I was thinking. So what we can start with first, as it's easiest, is to run in incognito mode to see if that resolves the issue. You can do this by right-clicking on the program and selecting, can you do that still? Here, let me make sure. What version of Windows is, he's probably Windows 11. Most people are on Windows 11 these days, unless you're talking to companies. So you should be able to right-click. Yeah. Right-click. Yeah. Right-click. Okay. So we can right-click. All right, just making sure. So right click by right clicking and selecting run in private mode to see if that resolves your issue. Yeah, the other one, when it comes to the hardware acceleration, that's just kind of right clicking on it and turning it off, but that's a lower probability. The best one is probably the pop-up blocker. So yeah, every time I've seen that happen, it's usually been because of a pop-up blocker. And YouTube, after a while, so what ended up happening is YouTube got smart. So with the pop-up blockers, okay, maybe I need to actually take out a picture and actually show this. All right, so what had happened was, all right, so let's say you are, let me actually open up my OneNote so I can actually see it myself too, like an adult. All right, bet. So there we go. All right, so let's say you have a computer, right? I'm still not good with these squares, man, I swear. Okay, yeah, that works. All right, so you have a PC, right? And you're connecting to the internet, and squiggly, squiggly, squiggly. That's the that's my version of Earth. we can do something like this and something like this and something like this, so you can kind of get an idea that we're talking about the World Wide Web. All right, so you try to connect to that in order to get to YouTube, right? YouTube, right? So you try to get to YouTube. All right, so now you have programs on your computer, okay, that is essentially a pop-up blocker, right? So whenever you go to this site and the site actually replies back to you, right? And it pulls up the actual screen and then it tries to send you ads, okay? Because it's going to your destination, they can be interpreted by the pop-up blocker and it can prevent it, okay? So there's no real way to stop that, right? Because you basically have created a connection to YouTube. And if you logged in, you created a tunnel to YouTube. So because you have this tunnel going to this actual host and this security block is actually on this computer, there's no way for you to actually stop it from blocking you, okay? Because if you were to run a firewall right here, and was to say like this for firewall, or okay. So if we had some type of a firewall here and we try to basically inspect the traffic in order to make sure, there's no guarantee that as it leaves the firewall, it will actually still not get blocked by his PC. Because remember, his block is here, right? So there's nothing that YouTube or any other software can do to prevent you from blocking, because once you send that packet back, you can't control what this PC does to it. So what they do instead is they basically send multiple packets, and they're waiting to make sure that that particular packet loads. And if it doesn't, then it knows that that has been blocked. Okay, or it's sending you an alert saying a connection reset, because you're trying to set up this connection, but if this guy blocks it, there is a reset that happens that kills this connection. So now that it has this reset after sending multiple packets, now it knows you've reset it based on a pop-up blocker. So instead of it actually allowing you to see the video, it just shows page cannot be displayed. Okay, and so that's what people are having. They're seeing this page cannot be displayed, and sometimes like for example, Facebook or different types of programs, what they would actually do instead of actually showing you page cannot be displayed, they won't show you anything. They'll just straight up block you, because remember, every time that you block somebody from putting ads on the page, it's costing them money, because they're running their servers, they're trying to get everything up and running, they're trying to do everything. I understand Google's a huge company, but this applies to a lot of companies. So they won't even, they basically will either A, give you what's called a wall garden, which means that it will block you from actually going into the actual site until you turn off your pop-up blockers, or B, it'll give you a page cannot be displayed, or it will crash the entire screen, because there may be an object that is actually in the ad that you have to allow to run Otherwise, it'll crash the whole screen. So that's what they've been doing in order to stop people from running pop-up blockers. So it becomes kind of a serious situation when you start running pop-up blockers. If you don't update the pop-up blocker, there's a possibility they may work their way around it. So some things may not stop it. Like, for example, I've seen pop-up blockers be installed on computers and YouTube ads still run. That's what they've done in order to get around some of these pop-up blockers, because they've gotten older or people aren't updating, situations like that. So there's a million different things that you can do when it's coming to pop-up blockers, because you know that they're blocking something because you keep getting resets on whenever you try to run your ad. So that's how people know when you're running pop-up blockers. So there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to pop-up blockers. Let me actually switch to something here and delete all this so we can use it again if we need to. But yes, that being said, let's actually get back to our homie here. I used to use my friend's server, so yeah, IP address, blah, 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 LOL. After 5 years of old hardware ad blocker, I should try to bring it up to work to up to date. Yeah, because you'll notice that it's not as effective. Like some companies, man, some companies will get around that pop-up blocker in like 3 seconds. I'm making a second post. Yeah, I think we already helped them. So yeah, so this one here, so yeah, pop-up blockers is kind of the way to go about it. And if the incognito faces this issue, then he should be good to go. I would say it's more so pop-up blockers, maybe 80% chance, and hardware acceleration like 15. If I had to give it a percentage, because hardware acceleration, the chances of you run into that nowadays is pretty slim. But that used to be a thing, hardware acceleration. Alrighty, group 3. Oh, hey, Vigilante, man, my homie, how's it been going? Is the i5 11400F compatible with the Asus H510E motherboard? I don't think so. Not off the top of my head, but I can check for you. Asus H510E. Let's look this guy up. Let's find out good stuff for our homie here. 510E. Let's see. Oh, it's ready for 11th gen and 10th gen Intel processor. So yes, it does work. However, what I would say on these kind of boards here is to go ahead and make sure that you install your BIOS as soon as it comes up. So basically, put your processor in. It'll still boot because it's an older one than the 12th or Intel 12th gen socket that it was ready for. So yeah, I would go ahead and install it and then make sure that you update the BIOS for this guy, just to make sure that there aren't any problems with that Intel processor, because a lot of times you'll notice in the BIOS updates, they'll show updates to processors, just to make sure. I read a comment saying the H510E plus i5 L400F equals destroy VRM. Destroy VRM? Ooh, well, okay, well, here, let's look this up. Intel 11500F. Let's look at it. I've been so past removed from Intel. It's been a while. It has been a while. I think the Radeon is actually Intel. But what I was actually looking for was memory support, velocity boost, blah, 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 blah. If it's unlockable, if it can be overclocked. I think it can be. I just wanted to make sure. No, it can't. Okay, so it's a 65 watt TDP, so that's gonna be a no. So yeah. As far as the VRM issue, okay, here's what I would do. Okay, in this situation. Here. Go to the support. This is what I like to do. Sure. And go to the driver and utilities BIOS, right? Some of the some of the BIOS information will actually tell you what it was for. So a lot of times, like for example, this right here, improve system compatibility, but this one here, support Intel adaptive boost technology, improve system performance, update microcode of the 11th gen processors, which I would say this will probably be the one you should probably go to. Improve system stability, improve PCIe device compatibility. So yeah, with that statement there that they gave you, they probably didn't give you enough information for you to move on further. So I would say if you are going to go with this guy, I would say just make sure that you're on this particular version or higher. Sometimes people don't like going to the most up-to-date version. So if you don't want to go to the most up-to-date version, then I will at least recommend this guy here, because this guy, it actually tells you, when using i9 11900K and KF processors for the adaptive boost, of course, that would not fit your particular situation, but you do have an 11th gen. So I would go ahead and make sure that I at least get to this particular BIOS version and see if that actually resolves it. But without that destroy VRM, without that being in context of exactly what happened, what BIOS version they were running, no one will know. It's just like, it's just like a comment that somebody may say. So yeah, I would go with that. And on top of that, even if you do run into an issue with VRM and it may not be working, or you're having an issue or destroying VRM or any whatever the case may be, you still have your warranty up to like 2 weeks or a month, depending on which company you buy it from. So I would suggest going with a company that at least gives you 1 month to return it, like a Newegg or an Amazon. That way you make sure that you return it instead of buying it in store. So that's what I would say for that. So that way you get a month to test that to make sure it doesn't have any issues with the VRM. So yeah, Prime H510E. So that's what I would say for that guy. If there is an ATX version, it'll be the exact same thing. The BIOS versions don't tend to change depending on if it's MATX or ATX. Okay, who were we on? Okay, so we haven't done him. And oh dear God. Okay, I don't remember seeing that guy. So I'm guessing we're on the first one. All right, cool. So first part of group 3. So we're talking about NVMe now. Okay, cool. We just talked about it. Hello, I've had this NVMe for about 6 months now. It's not a boot drive, okay? Recently, it would just get disconnected, causing all my programs stored on it to crash. Sometimes when I boot, it does not even show up. What could be causing the problem? I haven't had any changes to my PC or PC usage, thanks. Also, sometimes when I boot, a drive labeled CD drive F shows up, then disappears. I have no CD drive. Neither does anyone else. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay. NVMe. So it depends on what is plugged into. Okay, just making sure Vigilante was good. It depends on what it's plugged into. So now if he's using a USB-C to his NVMe, then that's going to be a little bit different than it's actually plugged into the motherboard. So our first question to ask him, okay, so for this NVMe, where is it plugged into? Is it going directly into the motherboard? How many do you have? Many do you have? I'll explain all 3 of these. How many do you have, and what model motherboard do you have? Okay, here's the reason for all of this, right? So he said that he had NVMe, but he also mentioned that it's not going, it's not the actual boot drive, right? So that means that it's not going into, yeah, so it can be a couple different things, right? So it can be an add-on card, it can be USB-C, like where's mine? So you can do a USB-C as an external adapter and plug it directly into the USB-C port or a USB 3 port on the computer, or it can be on the motherboard. So what we're doing here, instead of asking 80,000 questions, is what we're saying is, okay, is it going directly into the motherboard? If he says yes or no. If it is, then how many do you have? If he only has one, then that means there's a pretty good chance that he may have a second NVMe slot on his motherboard, which means that we have the option of having him move it to a different slot on his motherboard. And the best way to find that out is asking him what model motherboard he has, and then kind of just going from there. Now, of course, it can be PCIe, which can be a nightmare, because PCIe can take up individual slots, and it can even make it so that your graphics card may not work depending on which one is primary. So for example, some motherboards that have PCIe and then PCIe 3x16, those guys can have problems with you having that PCIe slot generated with like a RAID card that has 4 NVMe slots, because it will take a lot of the bandwidth that was normally supposed to be utilized for the graphics card. You can run into all kind of dangerous situations whenever you're dealing with PCIe NVMe. And also, does it have proper cooling? Yeah, it can also be a cooling situation, but at the same time, that would have been one of the questions that we would have asked him, but it would have turned into like 20 questions. So him swapping from one NVMe slot to the other may help us with the cooling issue, because he has to undo it anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I would rather just ask him 3 questions straight up and then have him answer, and then go from there and just see exactly what happens. That way we can guarantee that he's going to at least answer all 3. Like if we keep going and we ask, like 5, 6 questions, he's going to, either click out and only answer the last question, or maybe even the last and the second last, and just kind of leave it alone. So I just want to make sure that the questions that we ask him get answered. So that's kind of the way we can play him, and then just kind of go from there. He only put it up 2 hours ago, so there's a pretty good shot he's going to reply pretty quickly. But once we know, we can kind of go from there, because they go into totally different paths. Like, one is like USB-C, one can be PCIe, and we have to look at that situation, and then one can be on the motherboard, and we have to look at that situation. So depending on what he says, goes in 3 totally different paths if we can include a PCIe RAID. So yeah. J-Dog Prod, we need more information, good sir. Okay. Oh, good God. How many a swig for this one? I'm gonna need like 3 swigs for this one. Good Lord. Okay. All right, so his name is Tech Surgeon. Okay, we have to help him now. I mean, hey, Tech Surgeon. Okay, obviously this man knows his computer, so let's do it this way. We'll just go, and some of this stuff we may not be able to talk about too much, because I mean, I'm not reading all that. Windows Update keeps logging blocked drivers. Is there any way to remove deserialized unstable update Intel Net 2140 2.2 from Windows Update? It keeps trying to install it and silently failing, resulting in 60 ETL logs every day since it won't stop retrying. Intel Net. So that's his network NIC card. Let's switch to our Intel build, which is the Radeon. Okay, let me open up Radeon real quick here. Let's just see. Yeah, because we have the Intel wireless NIC. Oh, we may have his issue. Control panel. Programs and uninstall a program, but you install updates. He said, what update? Maybe we have his problem. Let's see here. Holy, we have his problem, yo. What? I promise you I didn't play in it. I promise you I didn't play in it. I've had this yellow exclamation point for quite some time. And I never even went back to look at it because I'm not using wireless on this computer. This computer is wired. So yeah, you can see down here that it's wired. We totally have his issue. Like, what are the chances? I just visited and used their virtual driver tool on the Dell support page by bypassing the Windows Update. Yeah, you can definitely do that too. So there's a couple ways to play this, but we have his issue too. So okay, well, we can go ahead and try to restart and see. So, okay, well, let's go back to his problem. Let's see what it is. But we have his issue too. So that's crazy, bro. What are the chances? What are the chances that we have his same problem? Just think about the possibility. Okay, so let's just go back. All right, because his is Intel Net 2140 2.2. Ours is 22160 0.4. So ours is a little bit higher level than his, but we basically have the same problem. But it looks like his updates are very, very far behind, because ours is an update as well, but ours are different than his. So it appears that he's super behind. Okay, so let's start with that first. That's what we've learned so far, because we have the same problem. I have the Wi-Fi device. The update is for disabled because I'm not using it. Okay, that would explain why his is so old. It's also trying to install an older firmware that I have removed the install files for, because it screws up the BIOS config, resulting in the system running like garbage. And I thought I had given the correct registry value to prevent download/reinstall of the old firmware. Seems I was wrong. Windows Update is still throwing errors attempting to unpack the payload since it's not allowed to install it. And so he basically is giving us the error here. Unless I'm not interpreting why this crap is being logged repeatedly all day. This is install preparation, right? Well, it looks like it. Reload successful. Unstable update. Acer firmware update. Let's see here. Update failed. Deserialized update failed. You know what? He got this from his logs, right? Let's see if we have it too. Let's go back to Windows 10 and let's go to AMD, and then let's go to our event viewer. Do we still have it up? Yes, we do. Let's see. If we do a search, so let's do filter on source. Let's see event sources. What did he say? What was his here, let's go back real quick. What was it? Doesn't really say. Comp API. Comp API. Okay, so let's go back to TN. Comp API. Comp API. I don't know what we can search for in order to look for it. What about Intel? Intel maybe? Intel. No. I don't think we have the exact error message because we haven't rebooted our guy yet. But what's so wrong with letting this guy install the update? Well, here, let's first tell him what we found with ours. So he definitely has an older update that is trying to install. So we can let him know that ours says this. If I can copy, come on. Come on. There we go. Can I copy both of them? No, just this one. Control C. All right. Alrighty. Yeah, that looks like a failure, but fun fact, we were just tripping off the fact that we have the same alert. I promise we did not plan that, LOL. Running a show and we just noticed this. All right, so this is what we see for Arnick that is also trying to update. What I would do for this one is to uninstall the okay. He says he doesn't use the Wi-Fi, but if depending on the device, there's a possibility that the Bluetooth is connected. So we need to ask him that first. What I would do for this one, okay, well, here, let's go with that first. Firstly, is yours linked to Bluetooth or is it only the, what is it called? What was the adapter? Wireless AC. Okay, cool. Let me switch back so everybody can see that. So firstly, is yours linked to Bluetooth or is it only the wireless card? And then what I would do for this one is to uninstall the wireless card. Well, he has it disabled, so that's pretty good too. Okay, what is it actually doing? Is uninstall the wireless card to see if that stops it. If it is on a desktop, you can literally remove the back panel shroud and unhook it from its slot. If it's a laptop, you can unscrew it from its slot. Both of these should make the issue go away if you don't want to install the driver. But yeah, it's so old though, you know, it's kind of a little iffy on that one. Have to update link if it's linked to Bluetooth. Yeah, if it's linked to Bluetooth, man, and he actually does use the Bluetooth, then he's gonna have to get that update. And it may not go away because then he may not want to actually do what we're telling him to do. Basically, just, hey, if it's on a motherboard, you can just take that out of the slot. If it's on a laptop, then you could just, you know, open it up and just remove it. Generally, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth is usually pretty easy to access unless we're talking about like a MacBook M1 or something. So, you know, but a MacBook M1 doesn't have an Intel NIC unless we're talking about the Intel Apple one. But I don't even know if you can get to that one because I've never opened the back of the 2016 MacBook Pro. So yeah, with this kind of a situation here, what I would say is to go ahead and uninstall and see if that actually resolves the issue. Now, because we also have the problem, we could do it too. So just kind of let us know. But these should make the issue go away if you don't want to install the driver. We can also do it too if you need us to, in order to see if it works. Well, here, I don't want to volunteer. We can also do it too if need be. We can also do it too if you need verification. We can also do it too if you need some type of verification. If you need some type of verification, since we both have the same issue. Well, we both have the same result. Since we both have the same results. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. So yeah, with this one here, you will just want to uninstall it. Ours says 22.160. His says 21.40.22. It's super old. It's super old. So, you know, if it's connected, if his is connected to Bluetooth, like ours says Killer Nick. Ours says Killer Nick. His, I'm sorry, I clicked on 10 like a nut. Oh, I'm sorry. That was actually 10. Okay, cool. So ours says, let me go back to this one here. Ours says wireless AC, but I think mine is actually connected to Bluetooth, I think. So if he's still using his Bluetooth, you know, that's going to be a little difficult. He may actually have to get that guy installed, like we have to get our guy installed. But we'll wait. So I'm not going to let this install. I'm just going to leave it alone, and we'll just check back up on it whenever we actually get an update from him. Seeing the fact that we have his issue, we can basically try different things that he may not be able to, or he can't try. We can try it on ours, and we can kind of go from there. Okay, tech surgeon, what are the chances? I looked at this issue and I was just like, oh my God, but the craziness of us actually having your issue too, that's crazy, man. That is so cool. That is so cool. I'm just nerding out over here. Pay me no mind, but keep us posted, tech surgeon. Well, I mean, he has to keep us posted. We have his issue too. So he's going to reply for sure. Alrighty, show me your child. I remember this person. My controller seems to work perfectly fine in games, but not in a single UI. Everything in Minecraft to Spotify, my controller takes 8 to 15 tries to move up in a UI. Is this a hardware or software problem? So I remember this person. So when we actually talked about it. So we went into the Xbox settings because this is an Xbox accessory, I believe. And what he was saying is what is basically when he was in his screen, like for example, if he was to click over, he was saying that this right here was slow. However, him playing video games was fast. So if this right here was slow, but playing video games was fast, we were like, okay, well, what would happen if you try YouTube? Do you also have that with those kind of applications like a YouTube, a Netflix, a Hulu? Also, what happens if you try different games? And also what happens if you try the controller hooked up directly? Okay, so not even in the main UI screen for whatever console you are running. What about with YouTube or Netflix apps? Same thing. What system is this for? Also, try to plug in the controller directly to see if it makes a difference. Also, how many controllers do you have? I plug the controller in directly and it happens usually in the keyboard interface or Minecraft inventory. The keyboard interface? No trouble at all scrolling through models in COD or selecting games from home screen parties or Discord servers. And it happens usually. Okay, let's make sure we understand what he's saying. So are you saying you still get the issue when plugged in directly? He said he has it in Minecraft. Well, when he's in his Minecraft inventory. That's just him pressing a button and just trying to scroll through. So, okay. What system is this before we start going into it? Because if it's the Xbox Series X, it's an SSD. If it's the PlayStation 5, it's an NVMe. If it's the original Xbox, we're talking hard drive. So are you saying you still get in? Okay, and also all of this doesn't really matter too much because eventually, once you actually start the game, it's actually loaded into memory. So we're only really talking about memory at that point. But we don't even know what system he has. Minecraft can be played on a cell phone for all we know. So what are we talking about here? So are you saying you still get the issue when plugged in directly? What device is this? Is this an Xbox or PS5 or what, man? Call of Duty's on everything. You know, he could be talking about Call of Duty Mobile for all, for all we know. Man could straight up be talking about, no, you got the wrong idea. I'm talking about using my Xbox controller and playing Call of Duty Mobile. How could you not know that from what I've said so far? And it's like, sir, we know nothing from what you said so far. You've given us no information. So, you know, it's like, okay, from the home screen, parties. Okay, Discord servers. Okay, so there's Discord servers, but Discord can also be on the phone. You know what? I'm just not. We need to know what system you're talking about, bro, so we can continue troubleshooting further. But it is interesting that you hook up directly and you may still have the problem, but we need to verify that before we continue. So yeah, we just need some more information, bro, before we can even proceed. Show me your child. Show me more info. So let's just go with that and just keep us posted, man. You don't have enough information for anybody to troubleshoot. I mean, it's literally in the accessory section. I don't know what you have. It could be like the original Xbox. It can be anything at that point. So yeah, bro, we have no idea what you're talking about. We don't know what system. We don't know anything. So yeah, but if we were talking about something like the original Xbox or the like an older model Xbox or Xbox 360, then we may be looking at the RAM and the fact that maybe it can't load it because it's trying to load a gigantic inventory and it's taking too long because it's being loaded into the RAM. But at that point, you know, I would say try a new game and see if that is making it go faster. If it does, then you have a RAM issue. So that's essentially what you would do in order to troubleshoot this issue. But you know, I'll leave it alone for right now. Oh, I'm not saying that name. I'm sure that's somebody's actual number or some kind of crazy hotline. So I'm not about to say this, bro. So we'll do it this way. 188 writes, PC restarted whenever loading a 3D app. Okay. Okay. It's raining really badly outside. I'm just making sure I don't have any drop frames. Hi, I've been trying to fix this for months and now I'm at a loss. It started with my PC randomly restarting during games, but it would happen. Look at my TikTok. It's quite funny video. I'll try to look at it in a second. I don't think it allows like the bot for this kind of blocks a lot of URLs so people don't come in and start posting like nudity and stuff like that. Like I used to, whenever I first started doing this, I used to have a lot of people post nudity and I'm like, this is a tech channel. And so, but you can't actually block it because you don't know what URL they're going to say. So I had to just block the whole thing. So it's been crazy, bro. Cause let's say, you know, down the line, we start doing this and we have multiple people that we're talking to and we have channels and things that like going and somebody posts that and demonetize, you know what I'm saying? Immediately demonetize. And it's like, we're trying to create education and helping people and, you know, helping all these people for free and helping people save money. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, go to 69xx69. I was like, oh, come on, man. I can't have this. So I had to block everything because there's no way for it to actually search and find the exact stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. It'd be crazy like that. So for you guys that are looking to start streaming, the first thing you want to do is make sure you have your bot tight and you have to make sure that the URLs are exactly what they need to be and you have it blocking just darn near everything, because if not, it can get real crazy. It then started happening more and more, and it eventually would happen anytime I would load into a game or launch a 3D app. All of them I tried, Furmark, Valorant, or Overwatch. So it restarts whenever loading a 3D application. Sometimes the app/game would not even open and I would get some error about it not being installed properly. It even got to the point that my launchers didn't think my games were installed and I'd have to download them again. After trying some things and doing some research, I eventually replaced my RAM and that worked fixing my issues. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. However, after experiencing no issues for months, all of my issues have come back. I decided to reinstall Windows through USB in a last-ditch attempt with no luck. So he's already wiped it. I haven't noticed my temperatures being high. I haven't tried installing these apps on my other drive, as well as running tests on both of my drives. Can't remember the name of the test, and they passed the test. He said he has tried. I have tried installing these apps on my other drive, as well as running tests on both of my drives, and they passed the test. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I think it's hardware, but I have no idea. Okay, so let's keep this to Overwatch. Let's keep this to Overwatch. So you have Overwatch installed on a different drive, but you still have the issue, correct? What happens if we install Blizzard on the other drive as well? Okay, so what we're trying to get at is, okay, maybe he ran tests and his drive seems to be okay, but he's having problems moving from the drive into RAM, but he's already replaced his RAM. Okay, so when a game loads, eventually it gets to a point where it's just pulling off the hard drive until it loads it into RAM. Once it's in RAM, it's running, right? Now, of course, going to event viewer will also be something that you want to do, but we'll get to that here in a second. But once it's in RAM, that's good. So if he already replaced his RAM and he's still having the issue, he may be looking at motherboard type BIOS type stuff. So it can really depend. Yes, it could also be temperatures. I bet that using one RAM stick, better to have mini sticks of VRAM as versus one big RAM stick. Gets real hot real fast. Spreading out heat on multiple RAM sticks stays cooler. True. True. So there's a couple ways we can play this game. So what we'll do here is says, what happens if we install Blizzard on the other drive as well? That's just to ensure that we're not dealing with drive issues, but his tests make me believe that we may not be. But let's just start with that just to get a clear understanding of what he has setting up. If he has Overwatch, we have Overwatch, we can test it with him. So with the new RAM stick, how many do you have? What happens if you halfen it? Halfen it. Well, here, you know what? Let's just go with how many do you have and kind of go from there. Because if he only has 2, I really don't want to halfen it in order to not prevent the overheating thing that you say. Because if he really is overheating, that may worry me a little bit. So with the new RAM stick, how many do you have? Or RAM sticks? How many do you have? Also, let's see what we want to say on this. Also, could you go into start event viewer, Windows log, and go to the Windows log system and go to the time of the crash? What errors, what critical errors do you see? Error code 41 does not count. So we go with that and just kind of play it that way. We can't, I don't want to go too much further. That way we don't, because like, let's say if he really is having a heat issue, right? We don't want to give him the recommendation of him halving, because if he has 2 sticks and we say half, he may go down to 1 stick, and that would be bad. So we'll keep it at that and just try to get an idea of how many sticks we have to play with, and also what's going on in event viewer. We can also go temperature and have him check some of the temperatures of the device, of the RAM, and like for example, he can run. We just talked about it. My mind just went blank. We could run. Oh, what's the name of that stupid? Oh, Afterburner. MSI Afterburner. We can run Afterburner in order to get an idea of that information. And we can try that. We can try different things, but let's keep it to Overwatch and kind of go from there. Now, what's interesting is that he said Overwatch and not Overwatch 2, and he said he's been playing. It's only 2 hours old, so it's not an old. It's not. This isn't old. Okay, I was just making sure that this isn't an old post, so he may not respond. But yeah, he should respond to this. So yeah, just ask a few issues and kind of try to figure out where he's at with it. Have you used Quick yet with customers? Quick. I'm not sure what that is. What that star is. Yet with customers. I haven't actually had a chance to, if you're asking about if I've had a chance to actually talk to customers directly, I will eventually set that up. In order for me to do so, I actually have to switch my application from OBS to vMix, because vMix has a calling feature that allows people to call in and I can chat to them. And then I can actually set up the actual interface associated with it. But I haven't had a chance to set up vMix just yet, but I will hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then we will actually have people who can call in and ask. Oh, it's from Microsoft RDP tool. Oh, okay. So I actually use Splashtop for my remote desktop protocol. I typically like Splashtop. Is a little bit cheaper than TeamViewer, and it's usually worked pretty reliably, and it stays logged in. And even the TeamViewer free version is a little bit iffy sometimes. So yeah, TeamViewer, Splashtop, RDP. Like, the only reason why you don't do RDP is because OBS has issues picking it up sometimes. And on top of that, there's no guarantee that RDP will remain in the exact same screen window. So like, for example, when you see me switch between my applications, you'll notice that none of them are so big that it just takes off my face or something like that. That's because it always stays at that particular window size. So that whenever I switch between them, it's a little bit easier for us to talk and not have to resize everything. But whenever you have RDP sessions, you have to reopen them and then remember your resizing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it becomes kind of a pain in the butt. Quick Assist is for real. Yeah, it's freer. So yeah, Quick Assist, I'll take a look at the one that you're referring to see if there's another alternative. But I like the one that I currently have, but it's having some issues with vMix. So that's what stopped me from switching over to vMix, because me switching between applications like this is kind of a problem on vMix. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, once I switch over to vMix, I'll have the ability to set up a calling. And that's really the only thing that we're missing. Because I mean, we have Windows 10, we have Windows 11, we have AMD, we have NVIDIA, we have our lab over there with a different mic. And then we have the PlayStation, we have the Xbox, we have the Nintendo Switch, we have OneNote. And so, yeah, we have just about everything. The only thing that we're really missing is the ability to call, have multiple people talking, have people giving us issues or things that they've done, things that they've run into, problems they ran into, that kind of situation. So yeah. So once I move over to vMix, we'll be able to do that, and then it'll really expand, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay, Blows. Did we already do him? Yeah, we already did him. All right, Blowser. Okay, wow, this is a lot of gaming issues. Okay, but a lot of people already replied to this, so we probably won't go too far into it. Okay, games crashing with no discernible reason. So, wow, what's up with all these game crashing issues? I want to go back to the Xbox controller issues. They take like 2 seconds. Game crashing for no discernible reason. For quite a while now, I've come across several games that just close to desktop after a few minutes. I can launch them and interact with the menus for a few minutes, maybe get a little gameplay. This is Firewall. But after a few minutes, the game just closes. The only place I've been able to see any sort of error message is in the event viewer. It lists error and information. I'd have attached screenshots of these reports, but that's obviously not an option here. I've been having the issues with several games, but it's been happening more and more lately. Most recently with a demo of Dark and Darker and the new Hogwarts Legacy. Okay, we can't have that with Hogwarts. I mean, I think people actually really like that game. While these games are brand new, these haven't been the only things prompting the issue. I've experienced it with Grounded Valorant, Scarlet Nexus, and Bright Memory Infinite, to name a few. My roommate has it happen. He never does preventative maintenance on his OS. All right, before I write out the reports from the event viewer, I like to preface it with that I've attempted many fixes, but obviously to no avail. First of all temperatures and processors are running normally with no excessive numbers. I've tried verifying file integrity, uninstalling and reinstalling programs, updating all drivers, scanning the faulty RAM, checking RAM speeds, ensuring BIOS are correct, updating BIOS, excluding programs for antivirus. Yeah. Factory resetting the computer. Factory reset? The computer? What? You mean like a refresh, or you mean like a wipe? Oh, clean installing Windows. Okay, well, wipe. Clean installing the graphics card or graphics driver. The only couple things I haven't tried yet is a clean boot. A clean boot? Cold boot? Because you said you already wiped the driver. I'm thinking you may be talking about a refresh and then wipe everything. So I'm thinking when you say clean boot, I think he means that, just straight up wiping it and reinstalling Windows from scratch. And checking my disk partitions. Having not done a clean boot will make sense in a moment. Okay, so dungeon crawler. Basically, you're talking about the application just stopped faulting. Well, it created a fault. Okay, cool. The reason I haven't done a clean boot is because from what I've gathered, it's telling me that the error resides in the application itself. So I'm performing a clean boot, excluding the problematic program from the files during startup. I'd be restricting my ability to even open the game. All the other games I've had crash provide the same error, but obviously with their own respective file paths, informing me that the root of the issue is the games.exe file itself. And again, permissions. Okay, the solution would seem to be verify file integrity, but I have, and it doesn't solve the issue. Before checking the disk partitions, I'll wait to see if anyone has any other recommendations. Sorry for the super long post, and thank you for your time. Okay, permissions. Old drivers heat up quicker than newer ones. Sounds like drive might be old. Everything but did not run CCleaner. Yeah, that's true too. So, I don't know if he. Okay, what do you mean when you say clean boot? What do you mean when you say clean boot? Did you already try to wipe the drive completely with a Windows USB thumb drive and reinstall? the reason I ask is the first thing I thought of was firewall slash antivirus and permissions. Well, that's not an I. Sorry. We thought of was firewall, antivirus, and permissions. I'm sure he meant cold boot. Yeah, I think he probably meant cold boot. But I didn't want to. What do you mean when you say clean boot? Do you mean cold boot? Did you already try to wipe the drive completely with a Windows USB thumb drive and reinstall? The reason I asked, the first things I thought of was firewall, antivirus, and permissions, but both of these would be resolved in a wipe. Okay, hard to imagine that, but some hardware manufacturers, OEMs, still sometimes demand installing drivers in certain steps. Yeah, it could. Scanning for faulty RAM, checking RAM speeds, and basically the games just straight up crash. When you say you mean cold boot, did you already try to wipe the drive completely with a Windows USB thumb drive and reinstall? The reason I ask is the first thing we thought of was firewall, antivirus. Let me think about this real quick. So he has the issue with the game crashing, but it always points to the file path of the drive. Let's try this. Did he? Okay, no, the Overwatch was the last guy, wasn't it? Okay, let's try this. Install one of your games on a thumbstick or external drive. I don't care if it's slow. Then see if the game crashes when trying to run. Let us know what happened. That's a good one. Yes, it could be pirated. That's a good one. But this goes back to that other guy. So right, we had that other guy. What was it? It was Folded Meat, right? We were like, okay, maybe you may be running like some type of a hacking tool in Call of Duty, and that's the reason why you had low frame rates. So, but we can't really ask that. We told him to just send us a picture of his task manager. But in this case here, if the game he's running is a pirated game, that could happen as well. But how do you ask that one? It's like, hey, where'd you get it from? do you know, like, do you have a receipt? Can you send us a picture of the receipt? Like what are you trying to insinuate here? That'd be kind of cool though. So be like, hey, can you send us a picture of the receipt? It's not you. We're just trying to verify. I mean, like, are you the police? Then see if the game crashes when trying to run. Let us know what happens. Okay, yeah, we'll just keep with that. Let us know what happens. So we'll go with this one, okay, because his games are all showing the actual location, so we know it's in the C drive. So with this one here, there's a pretty good chance that all of his games are installed there. So let's go ahead and try to have him install some kind of game, I don't care what game, on a thumb drive, like a 32 gig thumb drive, or, a 50 or 120 gig drive, whatever he has. Just try to install a game, and it can be a smaller game if he needs to install it, like a smaller free game or something like that he can purchase and install it on the thumb drive and see if that resolves his issue. If it does, then that leaves permissions, hard drive, memory, and then we go from there. Sure, no problem, not you. So yeah, that's what I would think for this one, and that's kind of the way I would handle it. It really just kind of depends on the situation here and what we would say. But because we're talking about drives, and I get that he's done a lot, but it worries me because it crashes so quickly. Typically, when it's crashing, it usually means memory. but he's done a lot with his memory. So we'll just go with drive on this one here because there's no way to know between when it's booting and when he crashes whether or not it's still hard drive or memory. I don't know how far he gets, you know what I'm saying? So there's no way to know for sure if he's talking about memory or hard drive. So let's go hard drive because, you know, before checking disk partitions, I'll wait to see if anyone has any other recommendations because he hasn't checked disk partitions yet. So our recommendation is like, hey, okay, instead of you checking disk partitions, literally just try to install it on a thumb drive and see if that resolves your issue. And that'll let us know if we should go after permissions, hard drive, or software or RAM. So yeah, that's how we would play that one here. So Blozer, that's what I would say, bro. Let us know. What did everybody else say? I don't want to say something somebody else already said. I don't want to add any more to the already long post. So here are my notes. This is him again. Okay, so he has it. It crashes in game. It's a 5800X though. He's had it for a while. 64 gigs of RAM with an RTX 3080, and it crashes after a while with an 850 watt gold. I mean, that looks good. I mean, that looks absolutely good. I don't see anything wrong here. So yes, we can go BIOS if we want to go BIOS, but let's just go with this here first and let's see what happens and just kind of play it off of that. Vigilante, my man, will Windows 10 run on 11 gen CPU? Yes. Yes, it 100% will. Matter of fact, this guy here, this guy here, this is actually, let's see if I go to system. This guy is Windows 11? I didn't know he was Windows 11. Am I on the right one? Yeah, no, I'm on the right one. Oh no, it's asking us to update to Windows 11. Okay. I was like, I could have sworn you weren't Windows 11. This guy here is actually, it's called AMD PC because it has an AMD Radeon, but it's not an actual AMD PC. It's actually using an Intel processor. This guy here is a Intel 6700, I believe. So, control, I can find out. System and security system. There we go. I'm sure I pressed it. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is the 3900X. Which one had the Intel? Oh no, the one that actually has the Intel is a different computer in a different room. I'm sorry. So but yeah, to answer your question, yes, you can install Windows 10 on just about anything. I have Windows 10 running on 3930Ks, bro. Like it's no problem. So yeah, to answer your question. So let's go back here, and we already helped him here, and we're done with group 3. And it's 9 o'clock. Oh my God, we are so behind. But we helped a lot of people, so I'll take it. All right, let's do this. Hold on, let me get ready. All right, 30 minutes, 3 groups. There's no way. There's no way we're hitting that, but we'll try our best. We'll go to as far as we can and just make sure we get a lot of the repeats. I think all the repeats are done. I rarely have the repeats in the later groups just to make sure we hit them. Okay, this isn't us. Okay, cool. So this is a new issue. Okay, cool. So we're back to malware or some type of malware or virus. Redirected to suspicious Lucky Papa website, Android phone, Google Chrome. While reading an article on the Harvard Crimson, the page randomly switched to, thanks man, you've been a great help. Vigilante, I got you, my bro. The page randomly switches to luckypapa.top. What the hell is that? And in my browser history, the icon next to the Crimson showed up in the same as the icon for Lucky Papa, the T-Mobile logo. At first, I thought I accidentally clicked on a shady ad, but when going back to the page on the Crimson and even other pages in this site, I continue to experience the same thing. So I checked a couple of other websites, Instagram and Quora, to see if maybe it was a thing with my phone or browser. I rarely ever go to Quora because Quora is also one of those sites that has pop-up blocker assistance essentially. So it'll let you know, be like, hey, you can't actually run this unless you have a pop-up blocker, to see if maybe that was a thing with my phone or browser, but nothing weird happened. Looking up this Lucky Papa thing, the results are all virus related, so that got me worried. Can someone please explain what it is and what could have happened, and what do I do now? Well, it's hard to get a good understanding of what may have happened without a picture to reference from. But he was reading an article and it randomly switched to this Lucky here. Okay, first off, let's look this guy up real quick so I know what I'm talking about. Just to make sure it's not, it depends on how scary this is. Let me see. Okay, so they're just calling it a virus. Is a hijacker that can take your main browser and redirect you to undesirable websites. Okay, cool. So all this does is redirect you. So that's not the most deadly in the world, but for a phone, it's kind of annoying. Well, it's hard to get a good understanding of what you may have happened without a picture to reference from. But if we are talking about the Lucky Papa, where's my Android phone? Hold on. Where's my Android phone? Oh, found it. Okay, Android phone. Oh, and it's on. Oh, and it has power. All right, let's do this phone. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure Malwarebytes is still an application for Android download. I'm pretty sure it is, but I just want to verify before I say it. Boop, boop, ba-doo, doo. Sorry, it's starting or just started. Just started starting, so it's just gonna take it a second. In the meantime, let's go ahead and just start typing while we wait on this guy. Come on now. I know you got a USB-C cables around here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Play Store. Come on now. Come on now. We got a show to run. I'm in a hurry. See, this is why I like them when they're already on. But if we are talking about the Lucky Papa. Okay, here we go. Malwarebytes. Okay. Yes, it is. There we go. All right. Android phone, Malwarebytes. So that's what I would do for this kind of a situation, just to make sure that he tests his phone. But if we're talking about Lucky Papa here, then I would suggest to download. Let me make sure it's free. Malwarebytes mobile security. Yeah, it is. Such to download Malwarebytes mobile security, and have it scan the phone drive or phone flash drive to see if there is anything suspicious. But suspicious, then reboot the phone when it's done. Keep us posted if the issue comes back, bro. Yeah, so we'll go with that and just have him let us know if the issue comes back. But yes, what I would do for this kind of a situation, if we're talking about something that redirects you, right? So because it redirected him to that site, that means there's a pretty good probability that he already has the software installed. Otherwise, it wouldn't have redirected him. He wouldn't have known. So he probably already has something that's doing that redirection already. And he doesn't know about it. He doesn't know how to fix it because it's already on his phone and he doesn't have any program that protects his phone. So in this kind of a situation, a lot of antiviruses actually do have phone versions. So they have mobile versions depending on which version you go for. But the quickest way to go about it is just go ahead and install Malwarebytes, because you don't want to play that game. You don't know if what somebody has, if they do have an antivirus. If not, a lot of people basically uninstall and stop using antivirus because Windows Defender got so good, right? Once Windows Defender came out and Firewall came out, people stopped using antivirus software. So antivirus software nowadays, you can actually have profiles for different things. Like, for example, you can have a profile for your computer, you can have a profile for your Mac, you can have a profile for your iPhone, you can have a profile for your Android, and it will automatically switch between those profiles depending on what's connected to it. So, but at the same time, you don't really run into that too much anymore because most people just kind of use Defender, so you don't have antivirus. So there's a pretty good chance that he probably doesn't have any antivirus on his phone either. So in this case here, it's better to tell him to go ahead and run Malwarebytes, which is free, have it scan, look for stuff, and make sure that everything is cleaned out before we proceed, and then just kind of go from there. Okay, Levi. Levi Ackerman. I didn't even know there was a Q in Levi. Quackerman, I think is what he's trying to say, but nobody makes fun of Levi. So did you see what he did to the last Titan? Like, you don't mess with Levi, man. That little boy is very aggressive. It's very, very aggressive. Years and years of watching his teammates pass away has made that man extremely aggressive. Corrupted data on his PS4. He already closed it. Ooh. Okay, that is clean. I'm not even gonna lie. With the Legion. Oh man, that's clean. That is clean. Oh, that's clean. That's like almost a 6900 XT type of look too. But it's a little thinner. So I don't know. I don't even know what card that is. That's clean. I'm sorry. That's clean. I got to give you that. That's clean. It's also not ideal because if you look there, he has a 6-pin, but I don't know where it's going. Maybe it's going like underneath into that slot and you can't see it. But yeah, that's a pretty nice looking build, man. That looks really nice. That's probably one of the only situations where I actually would run. Oh, okay. Well, obviously this is AI because this CPU processor is right here, but its cooler is right here. So this isn't gonna work. His computer will immediately overheat. But if this was slid over like, you know, an inch, then yeah, this would probably work. But okay, cool. Legion, whatever. You can use ChatGPT to help support your issues. Chat GPT. Okay, I'll look that up. I have a few things going to in order to help the chat. Like once it starts to get bigger and we have a lot of people that are asking questions, I had it set up originally that I can just go to it and make a quick snapshot and then just go over the snapshot. Like we're not gonna eventually have so many groups as we normally do, but once it starts to grow and we have like, you know, like 30, 40, 50 people in chat and a lot of customers that are coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out, asking questions, then I would probably have it set to like do snapshots and then kind of read from the snapshot, or have them load to the website and like for example, I have a Reddit and for the open forum, like the open forum help, and they can go to that Reddit and post, and we can kind of go through it as well and add that to our groups. So there's a ways that we have to go around it, and we'll play that game as this channel grows. Like I'll do this every day, so eventually it's gonna grow because everybody likes saving money. So we'll see how it goes, and we have a few things that we can do so we can grow it, because I want to create a charity, and in order for to do that, it has to grow into something that's bigger. So yeah. Alrighty, but yes, you have a pretty PC. I like it. Legion. This is from Dart. Yay, Dart. We'll just go with Dart. Good time to change graphics card. He has an RTX 3060. I have a GTX 1070, which is an excellent card. I freaking love the 1070. I love the 1070 so much. And he paid a lot of money for it. I still run the majority of my games on high/ultra, which is why I love the 1070. But I can see it's starting to get tired. What would be nice without being overkill, a 3060, I have a 24-inch 1080p monitor, nothing. A new processor, nothing. 24-inch 1080p monitor. This is because because a 1080p resolution is more so CPU capped than GPU capped. And the 1070 is pretty good. Only thing you may notice, if your monitor is high refresh rate, you may have more FPS, right? Or you can up the eye candy settings. Or you can up the eye candy settings, but the upgrade would be minimal at that resolution. If it was 2K, you would notice it more. So gotta tell this guy the truth, right? A 1070, 1080 Ti. The reason why the 1080 Ti was so deadly, and it took what, 2 to 3 years before Nvidia was able to get away from that card and people still have it, and I still have it in a shrine, is because that 1080 Ti was perfect for 1080p. Because that 1080 Ti would give you medium to high settings or high to ultra settings at 1080p 9 times out of 10. And then on top of that, if you had a decent CPU, you were good to go. So if you take that and go from a 3060, you're gonna have the exact same situation. You're just gonna have a, your medium to high settings, or I'm not sorry, medium to high, but you're gonna have ultra settings, but you're still at 1080p. So you're not gonna notice anything. You're gonna be at 1080p with ultra settings instead of 1080p with medium to high settings. That's the only thing that you're gonna notice here in this kind of a situation, because you're not changing your CPU and you're not changing your monitor. So gotta tell you the truth, bro. You're not gonna notice it that much. I've done this before. When we had the 3900X and we had it running in eco mode, and we had a 3090 Ti, I still had 120 FPS on a 1080p monitor with a 3090 Ti in Call of Duty. And the reason for that is because it's CPU bound, not GPU bound. And this man is about to be CPU bound if he was to go for the 3060. It's not going to do him much justice. So it'd be cool to get the graphics card if you had plans on upgrading that monitor, but as long as you don't upgrade that monitor, there's no point in taking it. That 1070 medium to high is really, really good, bro. Now, if you decide to upgrade, you're going to have to upgrade that past that monitor and go 1080p and go 2K. Then, of course, you'll notice the differences of the 3060, but not at 1080p. Yeah, 1080 Ti, bro. That 1080 Ti was so nasty. They created a whole generation and nobody bought it. The only people that bought the 20 series cards are people who did not have a 1080 Ti or a 1070. Everybody else said with the 1080 Tis or their 1080s, because it wasn't as much of a jump. On top of that, it didn't do anything for you. So yeah, that 20 series launch was trash. Like, that 1080 Ti was so nasty. Even now, they're still having problems trying to get people away from that 1080 Ti. That 1080 Ti was so nasty, bro. That is one of the best cards. And whenever somebody says they have a 1080 Ti, like, I respect it, because I have two of them. I love them both, even though one's dead. I love them both. It's like my dog, just having it enshrined on my wall. That Zotac 1080 Ti Mini, I love that card. But yeah, as long as you're saying that 1080p, bro, you're not gonna notice much of a difference. Okay, Xbox Series X. What time is it? 9:10. We're doing pretty good. All things considered. The person who bought this needs to sign in error, okay? For the last few hours, I'm not able to launch any games on my Xbox Series X. I get the error, the person who bought this needs to sign in. This happens with games I own, games on Game Pass, and even free-to-play games. I have tried the following steps to troubleshoot the issue, but nothing has worked. My GTX 460 card, I refuse to throw it away. I feel your pain, bro. I have the, oh God, what is that? GTX 560. I'm sorry. It's a 570. It's a GTX 570 2.5 gig. It's the red one. GTX 570 2.5 gig. This guy, the red boy. I love this card so much because it is the first card I ever bought that had more than 2 gigs of RAM. And I thought I was just the shit. You couldn't tell me nothing in this card. I thought this graphics card was everything. No one could tell me anything wrong about this card because I thought I had the best card in the world. Oh, but I have a 580. Well, the 580 at that time was 3 gig. I'd rather have a 570 at 2.5 gig because I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Because it was better than the regular 570. Because it had that extra little bit of RAM. Oh, you couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I had just the dopest card on earth. I loved this card, this 2.5 gig. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And now it took me someplace I didn't want to go. Okay, cool. Yeah, this card here, the red one, I have it. It's right there in that drawer over there. So I definitely get you, bro. Okay, sign in error. Yeah, that's right. We're back on track. Okay, this happens with games I own, games on Game Pass, and even on free-to-play games, and it's going to happen like that. I have tried the following steps to troubleshoot the issue. I power cycled the Xbox via the Xbox button on the controller, power cycled or hold down the power button on the console for 10 seconds, shut down the console and unplugged for a minute, checked Xbox network connection, NAT type, that's not going to fix it. Disconnected the network, reset my Microsoft password, removed my profile from the console and added it back. Verify my subscriptions, billing, and payment methods are up to date. No. You have to wipe it. Okay, wipe the Xbox Series X. Under console, well, you can't get into it. Well, maybe you can. Oh, yeah, no. We know this. We've done this before. Or at least we've been there before. Where is the controller? Here it is. So it's here. It's going to be under your systems. Where did it go? I think I clicked on the store. I did. Okay, system settings, and then system, and then updates. No, it's console info. Yeah, reset console. So console info and then reset console. All right, so let's go back and answer his question. Let's help our homie here. Okay, since it lets you into the Xbox, go to the settings, system, reset console, and see if that fixes the issue. It sounds like the profile of the original owner is still associated to this Xbox. So try a wipe to see if that fixes the issue. Why it shows the previous owner, we're just gonna take his word that he actually got it in legit ways, because it's not our business to be pointing the finger and be like, okay, well, where'd you get this from? It's still associated with the Xbox, so try a wipe to see if it fixes the issue. But if you really want to know and you really want to gossip about this issue, well, here's the thing about GameStop. GameStop always wipes Xboxes. So, and on top of that, it's a Series X. What are the chances that you find an Xbox Series X used? 0. So, I mean, your chances of finding an Xbox Series X new is still pretty low. So, on this one here, it's like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Verify my subscriptions and password info. I don't know where you got this from, but it's but yeah, they may have reported it stolen. That's what I'm thinking. It sounds like the profile of the original owner is still associated to this Xbox, so try a wipe to see if that fixes the issue. Reset console, yeah. So we'll go with that and we'll leave it at that, because there's not a whole there's a few other things we can try, but at this point here, I'm starting to wonder, because I've never seen a GameStop employee not wipe it. So that's a little iffy, it makes me wonder about this particular Xbox, but we'll help them anyway, because it's not our business, same way as a nurse helps a person that is injured that, they may not like, or their political affiliations are not aligned with theirs. Therefore, they still help them, but they're kind of mad about it. They let the alcohol sit a little bit longer than normal. We're going to be the exact same way and lead from their example and still help this person, even though we're kind of like, where'd you get it from, bro? All right, so we'll hit a couple in group 5. We may be able to finish it out just to make sure we don't have any repeats. And then we'll just stop at group 5. All right, so this is from Legitimate Exchange. And Mr. Exchange says, syncing problems. Whenever I hold the sync button on my Xbox One S controller, it turns off. Can someone help me with this? Yes. What happens when you press the sync button? Sync button? You mean the Xbox logo? Okay, let me make sure before I say that. Sync button on Xbox controller. I'm just want to make sure that it's the middle one. Oh no, sync button. Okay. That's the sync button. Okay. The sync button is this guy. Sorry, man. That eye autofocus don't be playing games. So I gotta get it away from my eye before it'll it's very sticky. So yeah, okay, cool. Let's talk about the sync button on the back of the controller. All right, bet. Whenever I hold the sync button on my Xbox One S controller, it turns off. It turns off when you press it. Yes, what happens when you press the sync controller when plugged directly into the, okay. What happens when you press the sync controller when plugged directly into power? Now, is that a good question to ask? Well, here, when directly plugged in, well, okay, that's not a good question, because if you plug your Xbox controller into it and you press the sync button while it's hooked up, I don't think it'll even recognize it. What happens when you press the sync controller? That's not a good question. Let's go with this. So with this one here, what happens when it's plugged directly into the Xbox? Does it work? Are the batteries fully charged? So without the sync button, so the fact that it's turning off when you press the sync button. So essentially what's actually supposed to happen when you press the sync button, it's actually supposed to start making this guy here, the middle button, it's going to start blinking when you press the sync button. I can go ahead and press it now. That way everybody can get an idea. So when it's on and you press the sync button, it starts doing that, right? So he's saying his turns off. So that makes me think, now, if you hold down the Xbox controller button, like so, it will actually turn off. There you go. See, so it turned off. So it will turn off if you hold down that button, the actual Xbox button, but not because of the sync button. Are the batteries fully charged? Is the Xbox controller X light on when you press the sync button? He may not know what we just did. Like, for example, you can't press the sync button if the controller is off. If you press down the sync button, it won't do anything. So we just got to make sure that he knows that, hey, the Xbox controller X light needs to be on whenever you press the sync button. So we'll go from there and just make sure that it's also charged and plugged directly into the Xbox, or see what happens when it plugged directly into the Xbox and kind of go from there. If he says that it works when plugged directly into the Xbox, then we're just looking at a Bluetooth issue and we'll just troubleshoot it as such. But we need more information for us to proceed. All right, legitimate exchange. Keep us posted, bro. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. So this is this is from Kevin Corndog, and Kevin writes, Xbox One controllers won't stay connected. My Xbox One controller won't stay connected to my console. Initially they connect, but after a few button presses they disconnect and rarely reconnect, flashing for a few seconds before turning off. Is that his issue? Reconnect, flashing for a few seconds before turning off. This issue is affecting both of my controllers and is present even when the controllers are plugged into the console. Both controllers are up to date, the batteries are new, and I have tried a hard reset on both controllers and the console. I'm still able to control the console using my phone through the Xbox app and haven't noticed any other performance issues with the console. Has anyone else experienced this issue? Which one had the reset? Was it the X? I think it was the PlayStation controller that had the reset button. Yes, it was. Congratulations. 100 messages. Yay. Batteries are new. I have tried a hard reset on both controllers and the console. I'm still able to control the console using my phone through the Xbox app, which is why I prefer wired. I got you. So it won't stay connected. He already swapped out the batteries. It's an Xbox controller, so there's no reset button on the Xbox itself. But he keeps losing connectivity with both of his controllers. Okay, same situation with the last guy. Okay, so what happens when you plug in directly? Does it work then? Let's see what else we would say on that. That's not a good sign if both of his controllers have the same problem when connecting to his Xbox. Typically, that means that the Bluetooth connectivity of the device may be having some problems or malfunctioning, which with only thing that you can really do at that point. Okay, so what happens when you plug in directly? Does it work then? Also, try to update the or check to see. Also, check to see if there is any pending updates for you to install by going to system. Where was it? System. System. Oh, wrong controller. System updates. All right. System updates by going to system updates and check for updates. Check for updates. All right, so we'll go with that. And what you're saying, oops, wire so many times. Okay, I know in my house so much noise in regards to radio frequency and the amount of made me go back to work. Oh yeah, oops, wired. Yeah, I think Microsoft also patches controllers. They do, but the patch for the controllers is also a part of the updates themselves. But it's not like for example, on the PlayStation 5 controller, the back there, if you look, there is a small button for the reset right there, or right there. Yeah, right there. So with that little button right there, you can actually reset the controller directly without having to have it update or anything. So, but the Xbox doesn't have that. So any of the Xboxes, even if we look at the Elite controllers, they don't have anything of the sort. So if we look at the back of the Xbox Series Elite 2, or if we look at the back of the new one, I'm sorry, this was the Xbox Series Elite 1 and then the Xbox Series Elite 2. They're all the same way. None of them have a reset button or anything that you can actually press on these guys to troubleshoot from. So it's like, okay, well, the only thing that you can really try is the sync and the Xbox button. That's really all you can do with these guys. Even though they're nice and they're really friendly, there's not a whole lot you can do. If you're having a Bluetooth issue, on top of that, both controllers, you're really looking at your Xbox at that point. What are the chances that both Bluetooth stops working on both controllers, you know? Yeah, the Xbox is a little iffy when it comes to its actual controllers. Slight chance of battery area having battery crust, and yeah, it could also be bad batteries. I think he mentioned that he also tried replacing the batteries. Oh yeah, batteries are new. Now he could also be lying, but we'll just take him at his word. But yeah, we'll go with that. Have him check for updates and also plug in directly to see what happens, just to go from there and kind of give him some probing questions and then see what he replies with. Okay, Kevin, keep us posted, Mr. Corndog. Okay, we back. Oh, no. Okay, so we did have a repeat. I'm glad we finished. All right, so Xiaomi A2, which is a cell phone. So basically, it was having issues with a low power draw with this a low current draw of around 350 milliamps to 850 milliamps was observed on further inspection using AccuBattery app. It seems that the initial draw may be higher than this decrease is supported by the fact that my phone initially claims charging rapidly before trickling off to charging slowly. So yeah, essentially, basically, whenever he plugs his phone into USB-C, it starts charging rapidly, but then it starts to slow down, and he thinks that, well, I was checking to see if the phone had wireless charging, but unfortunately it does not. Yes, I also agree that there is a high probability that we are talking about the battery, obviously, because whenever you plug it in, it's not able to charge properly. I think it may be time to take this one to a repair shop. Sorry about that, bro. So the reason why we said that is because he's talking about a Xiaomi Mi A2. This guy here, Xiaomi Mi A2. This is, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, or something like that, or Friday maybe. This guy here does not have wireless charging, and it only has that one USB-C port. So if your issue is the USB-C port or it's the battery, either way you're screwed, right? Because regardless if it's the USB-C port or it's the battery, there's not a whole lot you can do here. You still have to take it to a repair place, whether it be the USB-C port or the battery. It doesn't matter. So that's what we came up with that conclusion. If Xbox on the floor, I have pet gear leaking inside. Anyhow, haha, yeah, it would be useful if it had wireless charging, but I'm not sure many phones did in 2018. That's true. Let alone a budget device. I was very much under the impression that I would have to either attempt a repair myself or get it repaired, though I'm not sure if the battery itself or the battery management chip. I'm not sure what the hell you're talking about with the battery management chip there. Because at that point we're talking about circuitry on the motherboard, and I don't know if you can actually replace that particular chip. A small amount of research online seems to suggest that a bad battery should draw more current as the voltage difference is higher. But from what I can tell, the voltage and current of the battery itself seems relatively normal despite a low current draw from the charger. It does, of course, have less capacity after being in daily use for 4 years, of course. But all things considered, seems to do quite well. Thoughts? Is it worth attempting a battery replacement to see if the issue persists, or do you think that the chip is more likely the issue? I think the battery is more likely the issue. I think the battery is more likely the issue, and I would at least take it somewhere where I can get a quote so I can make a decision off of that. If the quote is the price of a new phone, screw it. That's what I would say. I would be like, hey, if the, or where I can get a quote, I will at least take it somewhere where I can get a quote. Okay, I just want to make sure I said that properly. So, or edit. I knew I had too many eyes in there. We think the battery is more likely the cause, and I would at least take it to where I can get a quote so I can make a decision off of that. If the quote of the price is a new phone, screw it. So yeah, he's talking about a budget phone from 4 years ago, right? So this thing is worth like 20 bucks. So if you're trying to pay $50 to try to replace it, you might be better off just going with a new plan or some type of an update. It may not be worth it to try to replace this guy, is what we're trying to get at here. So yeah, it may not be worth it in his particular situation, and it's only us talking. So yeah, that's what I would say for this one. It's like, this phone is worth like $20. It'd be one thing if it's like an iPhone. Then I get your point, but it's not an iPhone or anything like that. So your best bet here is to see what the price would be to replace it. Just let them give you a quote like, hey, if I replace the battery, it's going to be, $125. Well, forget that. I'll just take this $125 and trade in my old phone and then go buy something new. Okay, a meme. Me with two different GPUs from both sides. AMD software adrenaline and NVIDIA control panel. I thought about this. I thought about just running one computer that has AMD software and the other one that just has NVIDIA, or I'm sorry, and one that has NVIDIA, and put them on the same computer and basically just have it one in one slot and one in the other. But I worried that I may not be able to recreate issues. So like, for example, with the AMD guy, once we close all these tabs, like this right here, and then the NVIDIA one, sometimes in different versions, they have issues where they have trouble talking with each other, and they have trouble just, working properly together. Especially because the 6900 XT is a gigantic card. It's freaking huge. So because of that, it can create issues. So I was worried that this guy here would give us some problems, because it's already not exactly the most ideal. Because the Radeon drivers tend to be a little hit and miss. NVIDIA drivers are usually pretty solid, but the AMD drivers can be hit and miss, and you don't want to have that with the NVIDIA and then be trying to troubleshoot somebody's issue and cause an issue yourself. So it's better to have one AMD and then the other being NVIDIA. Yeah. So, and the other one just being the NVIDIA drivers for the what is it, 3090? Yeah. Okay, so yes, I like this meme. Teamwork makes the dream work. Dream work. Or or it's a nightmare and crashes immediately. LOL. Yeah, it makes the dream work, but it also makes the nightmare work. So, hey, you may end up having all kinds of issues with that. But I've had situations where I've had a AMD eGPU and an NVIDIA internal GPU, and that works okay. Oh, Instagram. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Anthony. You're going all in, huh? So Jacksoncepticon EXE says, old Instagram text randomly disappeared. So I found an old chat group I made on Instagram in 2017, and I was going to show my girlfriend the old cringe text on them, but suddenly they all disappeared no matter what account I add to the group. What do I do? Nothing. This is the gods telling you this is a bad idea, bro. Let it go. What you trying to do, player? That's like God is be like, nah, player. Like I want you to keep this relationship. I'm not trying to get you to end this relationship too early. That's just the sign. That's just the tech gods telling you this is a horrible freaking idea. So yeah, no. I definitely would not do that. First off, because if you give somebody access to your Instagram, it's going to make them want to check your Instagram again. So let's not do that. But sure, I'll be that person to tell him to let that go, and don't. I don't even know if I even want to troubleshoot that. Old Instagram text randomly disappeared. There's no real way to grab it once it's actually gone from Instagram, and Instagram is linked to Facebook. So if it's gone, there's gonna be very little you can do because you can't call anyone. So Facebook is ran by bots. There are no support for Facebook. So that means Instagram is also ran by bots. So there's no person that you can call or contact, and there's nothing you can do to get around it. So yeah, if it's gone, it's gone. This is not just Instagram, by the way. This is Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger. So anything that's Facebook related, if it's gone, it's gone, and there's no way to get it back because there's nobody to talk to get it back, right? Because there's no support. Facebook doesn't have support. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and leave it with that joke because there's not a whole lot he can do. It's gone, bro. It's not like there's some that allow you to recover. Like if we're talking about like an email or something like that, you may be able to call and recover or something like that. Or you may be able to recover if you didn't fully delete it and it's in a different folder. That's not what happens with Instagram. Instagram, if they're gone, they're gone. Whoo, Lord. Has people helped him? Um, oh, okay. I'm desperately seeking help, advice, tips, or thoughts that may help me to break this case involving electronic devices. Bro, this is long. What's the last one? Oh, good Lord. That is messy. I can't believe I work here. Okay, so you get an LOL. So congratulations to you. You deserve this. You worked very hard for this LOL because I would not even bother. I would just hook up into an empty port and just move on about my business. I wouldn't even try to clean this up because you clean this up and you break everyone's network because you're trying to keep this stuff clean, and I wouldn't even try. Okay, we'll do this one here and we'll finish because this one looks crazy, crazy, crazy long. All right, let me get something to drink because this is going to be crazy hard to read. Okay. East Description writes, I'm desperately seeking help, advice, tips, or thoughts that may help me to break this case involving electronic devices. I'll explain a bit. Is there a TLDR? No. What a dick. What a horrible person. How are you going to write this like 80-page essay and not even put a TLDR? Like, what is wrong with you? Do you know how hard this is to read? Okay. All right. This last issue, we'll do it this way and we'll end it. I'll explain a bit of backstory. It was just a normal... What is what is your issue? We're on a schedule. We have like 50 people to help, man. What are you doing? It was a normal Saturday evening in November of 2019, and I heard my phone ring, and then I went to go answer it, and it was my girlfriend calling, and she was saying that she was having a problem with her boyfriend. So we sat in, oh my God, what is your issue? Just get to the point. It was just a normal Saturday afternoon. Oh God, in November of 2019, that my what? Why is this actually correct? What I was saying, and I was thinking it off the top of my head. That my husband mentioned to me not feeling well. Oh dear God. He did seem awfully pale to me, but he couldn't really pinpoint when he thought what was going on. Within an hour of him mentioning to me not feeling well, he told me he had difficulty breathing. I'm at the point, immediately called our version of 911, and dispatcher told me an ambulance is on the way. It was right when the ambulance person came, walking in the door, that my husband had a sudden cardiac arrest. After being revived and stable, he was in a coma for 4 days in the ICU. I was informed by his doctors and specialists that my husband had an extreme rare medical condition. They wanted to transfer him to the other side of the country to the hospital with the absolute best level of specialized care. After he underwent surgery, they transferred my husband mid-December of 2019 across country to the specialized hospital. Okay, we're invested now. Let's do this. Because I was with my husband all this time, I decided to cancel the rent of our house in October 2020. After doing the packing and moving myself, some acquaintances offered to help me with the last moving trip and making sure everything was empty. These acquaintances own a business and offered that I could store a part of my belongings in their storage for the time being. Since I was doing everything by myself and alone, I experienced this as a relief in dark times without seeing any danger in this. Even the chaotic period I was in, several months later, they informed me they had a fire and supposedly all my property was destroyed. Okay, so they were storing your property and their business had a fire. On the 4th of December in 2020, my husband passed away at the age of 35. Sorry for your loss. This was despite the situation still very unexpected. This was followed by a heavy mourning period in which I had to arrange all affairs without any support. Now that I'm catching my breath a bit, and at first not doubting the story I was told by the so-called fire, I started looking into the matter, and it turns out that none of it is true. I was robbed for at least $20,000, Jesus. And after all, that is actually the only thing that I had left. Given the high expenses for medical care, which left me with absolutely no money. I have all the invoices and bank statements that prove that I am the owner of all those stolen items. Everything was newly bought in the years of 2018 and 2019. The problem is that I have no serial numbers or MAC addresses or the products, and these aren't listed on the invoices. The belongings they had in their storage are mainly electronics, which were the last I packed up during the move. I already contacted Google, Microsoft. Nah, this is over. The reseller of the Bandit installation, the security camera company, I reached out to them via email, along with sending emails, documents, etc. I was able to find and send the Philips Hue the ID model of the device ID of the Hue bridge. I could provide 4 serial numbers of the device linked to our account to Google for the Nest indoor camera and several Google Home devices. As I'm writing this, I haven't yet been contacted by Google or Philips Hue if they can help me by providing some much needed information and or proof. While doing my own research, I went through all my email accountants of my husband and I and found in the following. In February 2020, I was informed of the so-called fire and that my belongings have been destroyed. I recently found an email that was sent in the beginning of February 2020 that our Philips Hue bridge was successfully linked to insert name, a different person who I didn't know. At the end of February, Philips Hue sent the following email. Your Philips Hue bridge was successfully been reset to factory settings. If I no longer log into the Hue account, no home or devices are found. I informed Philips Hue and Google and all other companies of my findings. The company where we bought our security camera system informed and sent me written proof of the fact that the system is currently in use and therefore in no way destroyed because they don't have the linked MAC address. They can't log into the account. I have no knowledge of if the perpetrators still have my belongings or if they sold them. Sounds like they sold them. I did search for the items on the internet, but to no avail. I'm writing this seeking help, advice, tips. All reactions are very welcome. I thank you so much in advance. Yeah, it's over, man. Like, it's over. Now, if you have an Apple or an Apple tag that may help, an air conditioner, nope. Security camera system with 6 domes, and nope. Google Home device, nope. You already tried. Nest, nope. That's not gonna work. Netgear, nope. That's not gonna work. Raspberry Pi, nope. Wireless HDMI extender, nope. Chromecast, nope. 3D 360 VR camera, nope. Insta360, nope. Light Air, Ion Flow, Pure, oh, come on, man. Bandit fog protection, and Philips Hue. Yeah, the only thing that you had was a Hue. You really, if it was an iPhone, you could have done a few things. You could have maybe tried to hunt them down, but between your grieving and the passing of your husband, you gave him too much time. Like, all this stuff is gone. I am sorry for your loss, but unfortunately, this is also a wipe. It appears they took advantage of your time of need and profited. Well, time of need. And we'll leave it at that. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's nothing you can do here. Sorry about that, but none of these devices have ways of being tracked. Yeah, it's over. I'm guessing you said something. You know the identity of the perpetrators. Oh, also with that name you found, you could try to hunt down the name, but you would never get them to admit it, and it could just be a random person they sold it to at a barbershop. So plausible deniability will win that argument. So yeah, not much you can do. Yeah, you can't do that. The reason why is because if you take that person's name, like, I don't recommend what he's saying. You know the identity of the perpetrators. Typically, you will contact your police and provide them with those details. Don't do that. Well, you can try, but you just have a name. Okay, that name can be the same name for anybody. It can be, you know, that name can be in the phone book, 80 times. You have no idea. And also, on top of that, all they have to say is like, okay, this was sold to me by some person, so they can try to look into it. So but at the same time, that person can just say, yeah, no, this is mine, and I've always had it. I don't know what this person is talking about, and just kind of go from there. So yeah, Nah. So yeah, not much you can do. But you can try to give it to the police, but I doubt they will look into it. Because essentially, all right, so the reason why I say that, right, is because essentially what they would have to do, they would have to look up every name in like a 20 block area. So like have to basically create a nice little grid and look at every name and then go to every single person's house. Now, you had said that there were people, um let me see, let me go back up. Cancel our house. After doing some packing, some acquaintances offered to help. These are acquaintances. So if you said you don't know the name though, so apparently the person that actually may have it or may have gotten it third hand is not an acquaintance. So I would just look. They can basically take that name and look up anybody in the area near where your original house was. But I'm not sure if they're going to go on that trip because all they have is a name to go by, and then that person can say, "I don't know what you're talking about," or not answer the door and just ignore them, or just say, "Hey, no, this is mine. I have no idea what that person is talking about." They have no idea or no timestamp of when that thing was actually there for. So I don't know if they have enough information to actually put somebody, under arrest or something along those lines with just a name. They don't have a picture, a face, a time, and a place. They don't have anything. So yeah, I don't think, I think all of your evidence may end up being circumstantial because all you really have is an email with somebody's name on it, but it can be like 50 people in that area with that name. So it's very, it's very sketchy. I'm not sure how far you're gonna get with that, but you can turn it into the police, sure. But I think that this is game over personally. So yeah, gotta let people know the truth. Alrighty, guys. We'll go ahead and leave it at that. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. It has been great. That's a great last issue, I guess. But we got to kind of let them know. But we'll go ahead and leave it at that. We will pick back up tomorrow and see if we can help some more people. And if you like this video, go to the like button. If you really like it, go ahead and subscribe. I love you either way. Take care. All the best, and bye.